Picture a theatre so impossibly vast that light itself, travelling at the ultimate speed limit of the universe, requires 10 million years just to cross from one end of the stage to the other. Deep within this absolute blackness, more than 80 distinct galaxies are permanently locked in a slow, majestic waltz. This sprawling empire of scattered starlight is bound together by an invisible, unbreakable gravitational tether, floating completely alone in the freezing cosmic ocean. Imagine looking up to find two glowing clouds of silver dust resting softly against the pitch-black canvas of the night, shining with the pristine light of newborn suns. These intimate companions are not atmospheric illusions, but entirely separate satellite galaxies caught in a permanent trailing orbit behind our own spinning home. If we were to look closer, we would see them pulling a gargantuan invisible ribbon of hydrogen gas across the void, silently tracing the hidden currents of gravity. Surprisingly, the stable and quiet present we currently perceive is merely a calm preamble to a much grander, completely inevitable cosmic encounter. Eons from now, our massive spiral galaxy and the sovereign Andromeda will begin a magnificent, slow-motion gravitational dance that will permanently redefine the very architecture of our local universe. The terrestrial night sky will eventually be totally dominated by this approaching silver glow, swelling to breathtaking proportions as two immense whirlpools of light slowly converge. This quiet room is completely insulated from the crushing weight and staggering momentum of these celestial titans. As you sink deeper into your bed, the steady rhythm of your breathing begins to mirror the slow, patient clockwork of the distant cosmos. The soft fabric resting gently against your skin provides a comforting physical anchor against the vast, expanding emptiness of the space above. The journey outward into this deep intergalactic ocean begins by simply letting go of the familiar earthly world you know. To truly comprehend the scale of our celestial home, one must first surrender the human concept of distance. To truly comprehend the scale of our celestial home, one must first surrender the human concept of distance. The local group, our immediate gravitational neighbourhood, spans an unfathomable expanse of roughly 10 million light-years across the silent void of space. Within this colossal theatre, the absolute blackness is only occasionally interrupted by the soft, diffuse glow of billions of distant stars, blending together into faint smudges against the dark. Traversing this immense territory would require travelling at the ultimate speed limit of the universe for 10 eons, a journey through chilling emptiness where time itself seems to stretch and distort. It is a domain so vast that the light we observe from its outer edges began its journey long before the first humans walked the Earth. This sprawling architecture of galaxies defies terrestrial intuition, replacing familiar landscapes with an oceanic void. Yet, this staggering 10 million light-year territory is entirely bound together by an invisible gravitational tether. It stands as a solitary, cohesive island of starlight, adrift in a much larger, darker cosmic ocean. Deep within this gravitationally bound family, more than 80 distinct galaxies dance together in a slow, majestic cosmic waltz. These sweeping islands of gas, dust, and radiant energy do not sit motionless, but rather constantly interact in a choreography orchestrated over billions of years. Each participant, from the grandest spirals to the most irregular wisps of starlight, traces a unique orbital path through the freezing dark. This celestial ballet is entirely silent, playing out in a vacuum where no sound can travel, yet it is fiercely dynamic. The gravitational pull of each galaxy gently tugs at its neighbours, warping stellar disks and trailing long ribbons of ancient stars in their wake. It is an intricate, shifting web of orbital mechanics that has been evolving since the universe was in its infancy. As these 80-plus galactic siblings weave through the void, their soft, diffuse glows occasionally overlap from our vantage point. Together, they form a hidden ecosystem of star systems locked in a permanent, rotating embrace. This slow waltz ensures that our galactic family remains together, spinning endlessly as an isolated community in the deep ocean of space, Structurally, our sprawling galactic neighbourhood does not form a simple, uniform sphere of stars. Instead, this majestic collection intimately resembles a colossal dumbbell shape, defined by two incredibly massive anchor points that dominate the landscape. These twin gravitational hubs are separated by millions of light years, yet they act as the opposing pillars holding the entire local architecture together. The soft, diffuse glow of the lesser galaxies clusters heavily around these two distinct focal areas, creating dense swarms of starlight at either end of the cosmic void. Between them stretches a vast, relatively empty bridge of freezing space, forming the long handle of this galactic dumbbell. This bipolar arrangement dictates the movement and fate of nearly every other object trapped within our local spatial territory. If one could step outside the local group and view it in its entirety, this dual-node geometry would become strikingly apparent. The lesser star systems operate as mere satellites, caught in the overwhelming gravitational currents generated by the twin anchors. Thus, the architecture of our immediate universe is fundamentally balanced on two supreme, spinning points of light. Curiously, the distribution of matter within this vast cosmic territory is overwhelmingly lopsided. Nearly all the mass in our entire local group is concentrated in just two titanic structures, the Milky Way and the Andromeda galaxy. These two reigning monarchs of our neighbourhood possess such staggering heft that the other 80-some galaxies are gravitationally insignificant by comparison. They are the twin titans responsible for the dumbbell shape of our celestial home, anchoring the swirling swarms of smaller star systems. The combined weight of their countless stars, dense cores, and massive dark matter halos dictates the gravitational rhythm for millions of light years in every direction. Every other speck of glowing matter in our vicinity is essentially a mere captive to their immense power. This intense concentration of mass transforms the Milky Way and Andromeda into sweeping gravitational whirlpools. Their soft, diffuse glow masks an invisible, heavy grip that commands the orbital paths of every nearby dwarf and irregular galaxy. They are the undisputed sovereigns of this dark, localized patch of the infinite cosmos. A profound paradox lies at the very heart of our galactic family's mechanical balance. The true center of mass for the entire local group does not reside within the brilliant swirling core of a grand spiral galaxy. Instead, it lies hidden somewhere in the absolute blackness, floating silently in the empty, freezing space between our Milky Way and our largest neighbor Andromeda. It is a humbling realization that the gravitational heart of our immediate universe is entirely devoid of light or warmth. The soft, diffuse glow of billions of distant stars orbits around a completely empty pocket of nothingness. This phantom epicenter silently orchestrates the slow, majestic rotation of our entire galactic neighborhood without ever revealing itself to the eye. Beyond the borders of our immediate neighborhood, the wider universe is caught in a relentless, accelerating expansion. Galaxies are being driven apart at terrifying speeds by dark energy, stretching the very fabric of space-time. However, unlike the expanding universe at large, the members of our local cosmic family are actually drifting closer together. The mutual gravitational attraction shared by the Milky Way, Andromeda, and their myriad attendants is simply too strong for the cosmic expansion to overcome. This intense local gravity acts as a protective shield, effectively turning the local group into an isolated, contracting pocket within an endlessly dilating universe. While distant superclusters sprint away into the dark, our celestial neighbours are slowly falling into a magnificent, inevitable embrace. As eons pass, the soft, diffuse glow of these approaching galaxies will grow ever brighter in the pitch-black sky. We are passengers on a collapsing raft, securely bound to our companion galaxies even as the rest of the cosmos recedes into absolute invisibility. This inward drift ensures our neighbourhood will remain fiercely united against the endless stretching of the cosmic void. The space between our local galaxies is not entirely vacant, but rather filled with a delicate, invisible atmosphere. A tremendously faint hot gas halo envelops the entire cluster, whispering with the thermal energy of ancient supernovas. This highly ionized plasma permeates the freezing dark, forming a tenuous bridge of matter that touches every member of our galactic family. Heated to millions of degrees, this sprawling intergalactic medium is far too thin to emit a visible glow, remaining hidden from standard telescopes. It exists as a ghostly fog of solitary atoms, stripped of their electrons and floating millions of miles apart in the abyss. These scattered particles carry the chemical echoes of massive dying stars that detonated billions of years ago. This massive halo serves as a shared reservoir of primordial and recycled material, gently bathing the spinning galaxies within its boundaries. Though practically undetectable to the naked eye, its immense volume contributes a significant portion of mass to our local territory. It binds the sprawling architecture of the local group in a continuous, unseen blanket of cosmic warmth. When gazing up at the magnificent spiral arms of our home galaxy, it is easy to assume all star systems share such grandeur. Surprisingly, the reality of our cosmic neighbourhood is far more understated and elusive. Most of the galaxies here are actually tiny dim dwarfs that barely glow against the overwhelming cosmic background. These fragile assemblies of aging stars completely lack the sweeping, dramatic spiral arms or dense, brilliantly illuminated cores of their massive siblings. They exist merely as faint smudges against absolute black, scattered like glowing dust motes throughout the 10 million light-year expanse. Many are so heavily obscured by intergalactic dust and sheer distance that they remain nearly invisible to all but the most sensitive astronomical instruments. Despite their meagre appearance, these ubiquitous dwarf galaxies vastly outnumber the grand spirals, serving as the most common type of stellar community in our local region. They quietly orbit the larger anchor points, their soft, diffuse light easily lost in the glare of the Milky Way. These unassuming stellar ghosts are the true silent majority of the local group. Light is the absolute fastest messenger in the cosmos, tearing through the vacuum of space at nearly 300,000 kilometers per second. Even at this blinding ultimate velocity, the sheer scale of our local territory reduces this speed to a crawl. It takes a single photon of light millions of years just to cross from one side of our neighbourhood to the other. A beam of light departing from a distant dwarf galaxy on the outer fringes of the group is embarking on an epic trans-epochal voyage. By the time that soft, diffuse glow finally washes over the Earth, entire species on our planet have risen and fallen in the intervening eras. We never see our neighbouring galaxies as they currently exist, but only as fading phantoms from the deep prehistoric past. This immense delay transforms our night sky into a stunning layered time machine, capturing billions of ancient moments simultaneously. The staggering time required for light to traverse the freezing blackness emphasizes the profound isolation of these galactic islands. Our local group is a sprawling empire where even the simplest communication requires an eternity to deliver. It is easy to view our 80-member galactic family as an expansive, self-contained universe of its own. However, pulling back the lens of cosmic perspective reveals a deeply humbling truth about our place in the cosmos. This entire 10 million light-year structure is merely a single, quiet cul-de-sac within the massive overarching Laniakea supercluster. Laniakea represents an incomprehensibly vast web of over 100,000 galaxies, all flowing along invisible gravitational rivers toward a great unseen attractor. Within this majestic, glowing network of cosmic filaments, our local group is nothing more than a microscopic dusty leaf caught in a colossal cosmic wind. Our towering twin spirals and sprawling dark matter halos are reduced to insignificance against the true macro structure of the universe. We exist on the quiet outskirts of this supercluster, far from the chaotic, densely packed urban centres where thousands of galaxies violently collide. Here, surrounded by absolute blackness, the soft, diffuse glow of our neighbourhood persists in peaceful, undisturbed isolation. We are but a quiet, glittering outpost resting silently at the very edge of an unimaginable galactic empire. Stepping inward from the very edge of that unimaginable galactic empire, our immediate home emerges from the dark as a stunning masterpiece of celestial architecture. This sprawling domain provides a serene, barred spiral sanctuary for hundreds of billions of individual stars, each cradled within its immense gravitational embrace. Unlike the chaotic, irregular clouds of gas found elsewhere, this environment is deeply ordered and profoundly stable. The structure is characterized by a luminous, elongated bar of older stars piercing through its very center, acting as a grand, glowing axis. From the ends of this central bar, magnificent sweeping structures unfurl outward into the freezing vacuum, creating a hypnotic, rotating pinwheel. These majestic limbs are defined by the gentle, rhythmic sweeping of spiral arms, composed of cool blue young stars and ancient red giants. Wandering through these expansive stellar boulevards, one finds an ecosystem perfectly balanced between destruction and creation, maintaining a peaceful equilibrium over eons. It is a nurturing harbour where solar systems can form, planets can cool, and the delicate chemistry of life can eventually take root in the silent dark. The sheer scale of this sanctuary guarantees that most of its stellar inhabitants will never encounter another star closely enough to disrupt their quiet slumber. Navigating deeper into this magnificent pinwheel, we find that our own planetary system does not reside in one of the primary, dominant thoroughfares of starlight. Instead, our local sun rests comfortably in the Orion Spur, a remarkably quiet minor appendage branching off between the massive primary arms. This localized neighborhood is a fractured, delicate bridge of gas and dust, far removed from the dazzling but dangerous density of the major galactic highways. Living in this celestial suburb offers an unparalleled level of safety and tranquility for the fragile worlds orbiting our star. We are situated far from the turbulent galactic core, where lethal bursts of radiation and frequent stellar collisions routinely sterilize planetary atmospheres. Here, nestled in the gentle rhythmic sweeping of our minor arm, the night sky is beautiful but remarkably calm, devoid of catastrophic cosmic violence. Our position is nearly halfway out from the brilliant centre, occupying a serene middle ground that is neither too congested nor too isolated. It is the perfect vantage point from which to observe the wider cosmos without being blinded by the overwhelming glare of billions of packed suns. The cool blue young stars of our local spur provide just enough illumination to paint the surrounding nebulae without disrupting the peaceful dark. This quiet corner of the galaxy allows solar systems to mature over billions of years, completely undisturbed by passing gravitational behemoths. It is a testament to the fact that the most profound developments in the cosmos often occur in the quietest, least spectacular regions of space. Directing our gaze toward the very heart of this immense sanctuary, the density of stars increases exponentially until the dust becomes an impenetrable wall of light. Yet, sleeping calmly at the absolute centre of our home galaxy is an entity of terrifying power, currently resting in a profoundly quiet state. This supermassive black hole, possessing the mass of millions of suns, serves as the ultimate unseen anchor for the swirling disk of stars. The stars immediately surrounding this slumbering beast zip around it at terrifying velocities, tracing delicate orbital flowers in the invisible, heavily warped fabric of space-time. Despite the extreme conditions of this central region, the overarching mood is one of majestic, clockwork stability rather than chaotic destruction. The ancient red giants that populate this dense core have survived for billions of years, gracefully avoiding the dormant singularity at their centre. This hidden titan proves that even the most extreme objects in the universe can experience long, peaceful eras of complete tranquility. Its current slumber ensures the ongoing stability of the entire rotating disk, radiating a silent, heavy calm across thousands of light years. Moving away from the brightly illuminated, familiar flat disk of the spiral arms, an entirely different, ghostly architecture reveals itself in the pitch-black void. Surrounding the bustling galactic plane is a vast, invisible, spherical halo extending hundreds of thousands of light-years into the freezing intergalactic dark. This immense, overarching bubble is sparsely populated, yet it contains some of the absolute oldest stars in the entire universe. These incredibly ancient, metal-poor red giants are true cosmic relics, having formed when the universe was little more than a pristine sea of primordial hydrogen and helium. They do not participate in the gentle rhythmic sweeping of the spiral arms, but instead trace wild, plunging orbits that dive through the disk and out into the void. Their solitary journeys take them far beyond the chaotic stellar nurseries, out to the very edges of our gravitational influence. This monumental envelope of ancient stars encases our lively galactic disk in a sphere of profound historical silence. It stands as a dark, protective shell holding the memories of the universe's earliest days, guarding the vibrant, spinning core from the deep intergalactic freeze. Looking up from the surface of our small rocky world on a truly dark, moonless night, the immense scale of our stellar sanctuary becomes intimately visible. Imagine a thick, glowing band of pearlescent light crossing the entire hemisphere of the night sky, split by dark, twisting rivers of obscuring dust. This breathtaking visual is not a mere atmospheric phenomenon, but simply our edge-on view of our own galactic home from the inside out. Because we reside deeply embedded within the flat, spinning disk, our earthly perspective forces us to look sideways through the densest concentration of stars and gas. We cannot look down upon the magnificent pinwheel from above. We can only gaze through the horizontal plane, where the light of billions of distant suns blends into a single, continuous stream. The dark rifts running through this luminous river are incredibly thick clouds of cold molecular gas, physically blocking the starlight behind them. Every single individual star you can resolve with the naked eye is merely a close neighbour, located entirely within our immediate local spur. That sweeping milky band represents the collective combined glow of the rest of the galaxy, a staggering visual reminder of the hundreds of billions of suns we share this space with. It is a monument to our place within the greater whole, painted directly across the ceiling of our atmosphere. This glowing river serves as a silent nightly compass, pointing toward the densely packed core and the sweeping arms that stretch endlessly into the dark. It is a serene, panoramic window into the immensity of the spiral disk that cradles our fragile solar system. Scattered throughout those dark, obscuring rifts of dust in the galactic plane are regions of immense transformative potential. Deep within these freezing, shadowy clouds, stellar nurseries continuously weave cold hydrogen gas into brilliant new stellar systems. These massive, glowing incubators are the quiet engines of creation, slowly replenishing the galaxy's population with fresh, intensely hot sources of light. Allow the muscles in your shoulders to completely relax, sinking heavily into your resting space as you picture the slow, inevitable collapse of these dark clouds. Over millions of years, gravity gently pulls the scattered atoms together, forming dense, spinning cores that eventually ignite with the fierce, purifying fire of nuclear fusion. The resulting newborn suns clear away their natal dust cocoons, illuminating the surrounding gas with breathtaking cavernous hues of pink and violet. This process is not a violent explosion, but a patient, methodical awakening orchestrated by the fundamental forces of nature. The cool blue young stars that emerge from these nurseries are incredibly massive, burning through their fuel with a brilliant, fierce intensity before scattering their ashes back into the void. They exist in stark contrast to the ancient red giants, providing the vibrant, energetic light that defines the leading edges of the spiral arms. Each new star born in these tranquil, hidden pockets represents a brand new anchor for potential planetary systems. The gentle, rhythmic sweeping of the spiral arms continuously compresses these gas clouds, guaranteeing that the quiet miracle of stellar birth will persist for eons to come. Despite the appearance of perfect stillness from our earthly vantage point, the entire colossal structure of our galaxy is engaged in a continuous, dizzying spin. The rotation of our massive home takes roughly 250 million years to complete a single, majestic turn around the dormant central black hole. This incomprehensible time frame, known as a cosmic year, puts the fleeting nature of human history into a deeply humbling perspective. The last time our solar system occupied its current position in this grand orbit, massive reptiles were just beginning to assert their dominance across the primordial continents of Earth. Since then, we have plunged through the freezing vacuum, traversing tens of thousands of light years along our designated path through the disk. Whole species have evolved and faded into extinction during just a fraction of a single galactic rotation. The stars closer to the turbulent core race around the centre much faster, while those on the outer fringes lag behind in a slow, sweeping glide. Yet, the beautiful overarching pattern of the spiral arms is maintained, preserved by invisible density waves travelling continuously through the stellar traffic. These waves gently gather and release stars like water flowing through a cosmic whirlpool, ensuring the pinwheel shape endures over billions of years. If one were to view our sweeping stellar sanctuary strictly edge-on from a distance, it would not appear as a perfectly flat, pristine disk. Instead, the outermost edges of the galactic plane are noticeably warped, gently bending upward on one side and dipping downward on the other. These immense, slow-motion ripples in the outer stellar fields suggest the gentle passing of smaller companion galaxies long ago in the deep past. Like a stone dropped into a completely still, dark pond, the gravitational influence of a passing dwarf galaxy leaves lasting, undulating waves in the fabric of the spiral disk. These gravitational scars take hundreds of millions of years to settle, acting as a living, fluid historical record of our galactic neighbourhood's ancient interactions. They are silent testaments to the continuous subtle tug-of-war that occurs in the freezing void between island universes. The ancient red giants and cool blue young stars caught in these outer ripples bob up and down through the galactic plane as they orbit, riding the ancient waves. This vertical oscillation adds a complex three-dimensional depth to the otherwise flat, rhythmic sweeping of the grand spiral arms. It demonstrates that our galaxy is not a rigid, fixed object, but a deeply flexible, responsive structure that bends to the will of gravity. Even in the quietest, most isolated fringes of the disk, the history of the cosmos is permanently etched into the very motion of the stars. The galaxy remembers every gentle brush with its neighbours, preserving the memory in the majestic, slow-motion warping of its outer shores. While we orbit the dormant centre of our galaxy, the entire galactic structure is also hurtling bodily through the larger universe. Driven by the immense gravitational pull of unseen superclusters, we are moving through space at over 1 million miles per hour without feeling even the slightest breeze. This staggering absolute velocity is completely masked by the smooth, frictionless vacuum of the cosmic void. The space outside our galactic halo is so unfathomably empty that there are no nearby landmarks rushing past to betray our incredible momentum. From our perspective, the distant galaxies seem completely fixed, their soft, diffuse light offering no hint of the breakneck speed at which we're all travelling. It is an illusion of profound stillness, masking a continuous high-speed plunge through the expanding cosmos. This smooth, frictionless journey allows delicate planets to maintain their fragile orbits and delicate atmospheres without being stripped away by the intergalactic wind. We are perfectly insulated within our spinning sanctuary, racing through the dark at incredible speeds in absolute undisturbed peace. Hovering just outside the boundaries of the main spinning disk, completely detached from the rhythmic sweeping of the spiral arms, lies a magnificent defense force of starlight. Hundreds of ancient globular clusters orbit our galaxy, like a swarm of slow, glittering bees guarding a massive luminous hive. These incredible structures are immensely dense, spherical concentrations containing millions of tightly packed ancient stars bound perfectly by their own mutual gravity. Unlike the open, chaotic stellar nurseries found in the disk, these clusters are perfectly symmetrical, glowing with the cool golden light of dying suns. They plunge through the dark, overarching halo on highly eccentric looping orbits, occasionally piercing right through the flat galactic plane before swinging back out into the deep void. They are solitary, self-contained cities of light, remaining entirely isolated from the gas and dust of the main galactic highways. Inside a globular cluster, the night sky would be ablaze with the light of 100,000 brilliant neighbours, leaving no dark patches for deep space observation. Yet, despite their extreme stellar density, the stars within them almost never collide, performing a perfectly choreographed, chaotic dance in a microscopic fraction of space. They are the oldest surviving artifacts in our galactic neighbourhood, having formed when the universe was completely untamed and chaotic. As they slowly swarm around the main disk, these glittering ancient spheres provide a breathtaking halo of historical light. They watch over the quiet corners of the Milky Way, silent sentinels drifting forever in the freezing, peaceful outskirts of our home. Leaving the peaceful outskirts of our home behind, we cast our gaze across a terrifyingly vast expanse of empty intergalactic space to find the true sovereign of our shared celestial neighbourhood. Suspended perfectly still in the deep ocean of the cosmos is Andromeda, a massive tilted disk of silver light that reigns unchallenged as the largest and most formidable sibling in our galactic family. It presents a staggering profile of majestic power, anchoring the opposing end of our grand cosmic dumbbell with absolute gravitational authority. This titanic spiral commands its surrounding space with an overwhelming gravitational presence that pulls constantly at the lesser, wandering star systems drifting nearby. Its physical dimensions are so incredibly immense that they entirely dwarf the sweeping arms we just explored, extending its luminous reach far deeper into the absolute freezing blackness. The sheer breadth of this neighbouring realm creates a profound sense of awe in any observer, standing as a towering monument composed of gas, dust and unending radiant energy. Observing this colossal neighbour from afar, it appears entirely serene, perfectly balanced against the crushing emptiness of the void. Yet this visual stillness completely masks an unimaginably heavy grip that dictates the flow of celestial traffic across an immense volume of the freezing, silent dark. It is the reigning monarch of our shared spatial territory, an island universe of unparalleled majesty, undeniable weight, and breathtaking scale. Peering intently into the very heart of this grand spiral, an unexpected and highly unusual structural anomaly deeply disrupts the uniform, golden glow of its central bulge. Looking closely at its core reveals a strange double nucleus, twin concentrations of fiercely glowing ancient stars locked in an intensely tight, eternal orbital embrace. Instead of a single unified peak of starlight defining the exact centre, there are two distinct dazzling peaks separated by a relatively minute cosmic distance. This peculiar dual-core architecture is almost certainly not a natural feature of a completely undisturbed spiral, but rather the likely remnant of a past monumental galactic merger. Long ago, deep in the violent history of the cosmos, this sovereign giant likely consumed a smaller, unfortunate companion galaxy, drawing its beating heart violently inward to the centre. The brilliantly glowing core we see today is effectively a fossilised battleground, a permanent luminous record of a violent collision that has since calmed into a stable dance. The stars trapped within these twin peaks race endlessly around each other at blistering, terrifying velocities, bound together forever by an invisible, crushing gravitational knot. From a significant distance, their combined radiance merely adds to the overwhelming central brilliance of the sprawling disk, masking the ancient violence completely from a casual glance. It is only through meticulous, patient observation that this hidden, double-hearted secret reveals itself within the overarching piece of the central bulge. Allow your breathing to slow, deepening into a steady, rhythmic pace as you contemplate the sheer, overwhelming volume of individual suns residing entirely within this single neighbouring realm. This giant spiral galaxy contains an unfathomable multitude of stars, a staggering celestial census that easily more than doubles the entire population of our own spinning home. Every visible speck of dust, every glowing intergalactic cloud, and every sweeping majestic arm is packed with an incomprehensible density of burning spherical furnaces. The sheer abundance of radiant matter located here heavily stretches the absolute limits of human imagination, forming a boundless, glowing sea of thermonuclear fire suspended forever in the cold dark. If one were to magically travel from one outer edge of this stellar disk to the exact opposite side, the voyage would pass by an endless, blinding parade of alien solar systems. The combined collective glow of these countless scattered suns is precisely what paints the massive tilted disk of silver light boldly across the cosmic ocean. Such a staggering congregation of active stars guarantees that this giant contains almost every conceivable known variation of stellar evolution hidden somewhere within its sweeping borders. From the oldest, coolest dying red giants to the most ephemeral, aggressively burning blue titans, this neighbouring realm operates as an exhaustive living catalogue of celestial life. It proudly stands as an overflowing, brilliant reservoir of light, vastly richer and more densely populated than the quiet sanctuary we intimately call home. Shifting our vision entirely beyond the visible light spectrum, a deeply hidden, spectacular feature suddenly emerges from the blinding glare of the densely packed central bulge. A massive ring of dust circles its centre, an immense continuous band of heavily chilled particles glowing softly in infrared light, like a warm hearth in the absolute dark. This monumental, sweeping ring acts as a hidden, fiery halo buried completely deep within the galaxy, remaining entirely invisible to the naked terrestrial eye gazing upwards. This sweeping, perfectly circular formation is primarily composed of heavy chemical elements and highly complex molecules, the cooling, drifting ashes of countless stellar generations trapped in a perfect orbital rhythm. The gentle, subtle warmth it endlessly radiates is a lingering, soft echo of the intense starlight it constantly absorbs from the bustling, overcrowded core, gently radiating the captured energy back out into the freezing void. It uniquely creates a stunning, perfectly concentric ring of soft heat that stands in incredibly stark contrast to the wildly scattered, chaotic dust lanes seen elsewhere in the spiral. Astronomers strongly theorize that this profound, unbroken circular structure is yet another deep cosmic scar, a lingering, vast ripple caused by an ancient direct impact from a smaller, trespassing satellite. The devastating collision sent a massive wave of dense gravity rippling outward from the absolute centre, beautifully sweeping the interstellar dust directly into this magnificent glowing outer perimeter. It miraculously remained suspended perfectly still within the spinning disk, serving as a silent, warm ring of ancient ash encircling the deeply buried double heart. Despite the crushing, unimaginable expanse of intergalactic space permanently separating us from this titanic neighbour, its collective, overwhelming brilliance successfully bridges the dark gulf with astonishing ease. Andromeda is remarkably one of the very few celestial objects existing entirely outside our own sprawling realm that remains clearly visible to the naked human eye from our terrestrial vantage point. On a profoundly dark, pristine, and perfectly clear night, far away from distracting artificial lights, it effortlessly appears as a delicate, ghostly smudge softly smeared against the velvet black. This faint, oval apparition lingering in the northern sky boldly represents the absolute oldest light your unprotected eyes will ever directly perceive without the complex aid of modern astronomical instruments. The individual, Scattered photons striking your fragile retina have steadily travelled through the freezing intergalactic vacuum for multiple eras, beginning their silent journey long before our specific species even existed on a rocky planet. To look up and intentionally gaze upon this massive tilted disk of silver light is to literally look back deeply into the primordial, untouched history of the distant cosmos. It is a profoundly humbling, deeply grounding realization to understand that this tiny, seemingly insignificant grey celestial smudge actually contains vastly more physical matter and raw energy than absolutely everything in our immediate stellar neighbourhood combined. This singular, quiet patch of dim light dutifully serves as a constant, quiet, nightly reminder of the truly staggering scale of the boundless universe operating constantly beyond our borders. It is a lonely beacon of incredibly ancient starlight, quietly waiting to be noticed by anyone willing to stare deeply into the silent dark. Let the heavy tension melt completely from your jaw and neck, relaxing entirely into your space as you visualize the incredibly faint, ghostly structures extending far beyond the main luminous disk of this giant. Streaming endlessly outward from its clearly defined outer edges are enormous shells of stars, vast, curving arcs of completely solitary suns cast hopelessly adrift into the enveloping dark. These delicate, perfectly concentric ripples of incredibly faint light are the permanently silent memories of ancient, devastating galactic collisions, eternally echoing through the totally empty void. As significantly smaller, deeply ill-fated companions helplessly fell into the overwhelming, inescapable gravitational grip of this titan, they were violently and systematically torn apart, their stellar populations flung wildly outward. Like ripples beautifully expanding on the calm surface of a pond immediately after a heavy stone is dropped, these captured stars violently slow down and subsequently pile up at the very apex of their extreme orbits. The ultimate result is a complex series of beautiful umbrella-like ethereal structures that beautifully form a faint, incredibly sparse outer halo of ghostly light. These sweeping, majestic shells permanently represent the completely scattered ruins of totally destroyed stellar cities, forever trapped helplessly in the majestic, overarching span of the sovereign spiral. They orbit entirely in complete, undisturbed and absolute silence, their original parent galaxies having been long since fully digested by the immense, insatiable central core. These faint, arcing shapes are effectively the fading, hauntingly beautiful scars of a deeply violent, consumptive past that has finally, mercifully settled into a tranquil, completely stable equilibrium. Encircling the sprawling, glowing disk and the hauntingly ghostly outer shells is a magnificent, perfectly spherical swarm of incredibly ancient, brilliantly glowing celestial outposts. A staggering multitude of dense globular clusters gorgeously forms a beautiful, sparkling halo entirely around this massive neighbouring galaxy, faithfully guarding its sprawling frontiers like a dedicated legion of glittering sentinels. This vast, heavily protective swarm is vastly larger, significantly more complex, and heavily more populous than the equivalent formation quietly patrolling our own stellar city. Each of these incredibly tightly packed, perfectly spherical clusters contains many thousands to several millions of heavily ancient dying suns, all gravitationally bound together perfectly in a glowing orb of eternal deep twilight. They plunge highly erratically completely through the freezing intergalactic halo, constantly tracing long, deeply solitary and highly elliptical orbital paths entirely around the majestic, slowly spinning central disk. From the visual perspective of the grand, sprawling spiral, they deeply resemble a vast swarm of slow, golden fireflies, drifting somewhat aimlessly in the overarching pitch-black dark. These incredibly remote, highly isolated clusters are totally pristine, untouched relics from the very dawn of physical creation, securely holding the deeper secrets of the universe's absolute earliest chemical compositions within their aging stars. they stubbornly remain entirely physically separate from the bustling, highly gas-rich disk, hovering permanently in the pure, absolute and pristine blackness of the extreme outer halo. Their collective, glittering presence beautifully adds a stunning, highly complex three-dimensional depth to the massive tilted disk of silver light peacefully suspended in the deep ocean. With absolutely all of its truly immense bulk, deeply overflowing reserves of cold gas, and entirely overwhelming gravitational power, one might logically expect this towering giant to be a violently raging cauldron of rapid stellar creation. Interestingly, however, Andromeda consistently produces brilliant new stars at a significantly much slower, far more deeply peaceful rate than the beautifully swirling sanctuary we intimately call home. It has comfortably settled into a deeply profound, almost entirely lethargic celestial rhythm, very carefully and slowly conserving its unimaginably vast internal reservoirs of cold molecular gas. The deeply hidden stellar nurseries widely scattered across its beautifully tightly wound arms are completely quiet and deeply subdued, entirely lacking the frantic, highly explosive bursts of chaotic starbirth routinely seen in much more energetic, chaotic realms. This majestic, slowly rotating sovereign is currently experiencing a deeply tranquil, incredibly extended phase of its unimaginably long cosmic life, totally content to simply let its current, aging population deeply shine steadily into the vast void. It is a massive galaxy existing perfectly in a rare state of profound cosmic rest, steadily operating at a gentle, highly sustainable and remarkably low tempo. This incredibly slow, deeply methodical pace of bright creation essentially ensures that the giant will absolutely not exhaust its precious fuel for countless, unimaginable eons to come. It powerfully stands as a clear testament to the cosmic fact that immense physical size and deeply overwhelming power do not necessarily strictly equate to rapid, violent consumption of available resources. Instead, the overarching, dominating mood is entirely one of a magnificent, highly dignified aging monarch quietly enjoying a long, deeply peaceful and undisturbed cosmic autumn. Deepen your personal awareness completely back into the physical sensation of heavy gravity, gently pulling deeply on your comfortably resting limbs, securely holding you totally safe as we conceptually approach the very absolute center of this alien realm. Hidden entirely within the brilliantly blinding double nucleus, this particular galaxy deeply harbors an unimaginably dense gravitational abyss that is entirely deeply dormant and completely perfectly hidden by thick, heavily obscuring dust. This central, totally unseen dark titan is vastly more massively heavy than the entirely similar sleeping giant quietly residing exactly at the central core of our own home. The truly staggering sheer mass of this heavily hidden, completely dormant entity effectively is the absolutely true gravitational anchor for the unimaginably heavy trillion-star disk elegantly rotating majestically completely around it. It completely, totally dictates the totally breakneck, dizzying orbital speeds of the tightly bound twin stellar cores, securely acting as the completely ultimate, entirely unseen puppet master of the completely entire, massive galactic structure. Yet, deep in its entirely current, deeply peaceful state of prolonged cosmic fasting, it deeply radiates absolutely nothing but a deeply profound, incredibly heavy calm, completely throughout the heavily bustling, glowing central bulge. Gently pulling our observational perspective completely outward to fully take in the overarching entirety of this colossal, beautiful structure once more, the defining, breathtaking beauty of its overall sweeping architecture finally becomes completely clear. Unlike the entirely loosely packed, highly fragmented and totally messy structures of significantly lesser, smaller spirals, its brilliantly glowing spiral arms are beautifully, entirely tightly wound, masterfully creating an incredibly smooth and entirely continuous sweeping disk of pure starlight. The incredibly dark, empty gaps securely located between the majestic sweeping limbs are incredibly so physically narrow that they beautifully, totally blend seamlessly into a single cohesive glowing platter. This intensely tight, flawlessly perfectly coiled gravitational geometry effortlessly gives the galaxy an overarching appearance of absolutely perfect, completely uninterrupted solidity, totally flawlessly masking the sprawling, entirely empty lanes of deeply freezing space securely hidden between the individual scattered stars. The entirely cool, beautiful blue light of the younger stellar populations smoothly and gracefully gradients completely into the incredibly warm golden glow of the heavily ancient core, totally beautifully unmarred by chaotic, entirely irregular structural breaks. It is a completely stunning portrait of absolutely ultimate celestial order, an absolutely flawless masterclass in deep gravitational engineering beautifully spanning completely across hundreds of thousands of light years, suspended perfectly, completely still in the deepest, completely freezing deep ocean of the vast cosmos. This completely tightly wound, completely massive tilted disk of silver light beautifully firmly remains the absolute crowning jewel of our shared local neighbourhood. Its entirely flawless, incredibly continuous warm glow is a completely perfect testament to the incredibly immense deep age and totally profound structural stability of this deeply majestic, entirely sovereign giant. It flawlessly endures completely as a beautifully serene, totally slowly rotating monument of entirely unparalleled cosmic beauty, quietly and totally deeply dominating the completely freezing, entirely absolute dark. Beyond the absolute dark where the Titans hold sway, a more delicate and intricate presence emerges within the hierarchy of our galactic family. Triangulum stands as the third largest member of the local group, yet it possesses a purity of form that sets it apart from its more massive bar-bearing siblings. This structure lacks the dense, elongated central bar found in the Milky Way, instead offering a pristine, pure spiral shape that unfolds with mathematical grace. Without a rigid stellar bar to disrupt the inward flow of matter, the galaxy core transitions smoothly into its outer limbs. This architectural simplicity creates a sense of profound clarity, where every star and gas cloud seems to follow a perfectly circular, unhindered path through the void. It is a rare example of an unbarred spiral, a celestial pinwheel that has maintained its classic, unadorned geometry across billions of years of cosmic evolution. The silver light of this third sibling radiates with a softer, more subtle intensity than the overwhelming glare of Andromeda. It does not seek to dominate the dark, but rather to decorate it with a fragile and symmetrical beauty. By forgoing the complex central structures of its larger neighbours, Triangulum achieves a state of visual harmony that appears almost fragile against the backdrop of the infinite black. Often referred to by observers as the pinwheel galaxy, this ethereal structure displays beautifully loose and open arms that seem to drift effortlessly through the intergalactic medium. Unlike the tightly wound, compressed spirals of the more massive giants, these limbs are characterized by a wispy, expansive nature that reveals the vast quantities of gas and dust held within. Every trailing arm is a delicate ribbon of light and shadow, curving outward in a gentle, sweeping arc that covers thousands of light-years of space. If we were to look closer at these celestial trails, we would find a landscape speckled with brilliant pink patches of forming stars, lending the galaxy a vibrant, living texture. These luminous knots of activity are scattered throughout the loose arms like glowing embers, providing a stark contrast to the cool, blue-white light of the surrounding stellar fields. The abundance of interstellar gas ensures that the galaxy feels rich and fertile, a sprawling garden of starlight that has not yet been depleted by age. This openness allows the observer to peer deeply into the internal clockwork of the system, witnessing the slow-motion collision of gas clouds without the obscuring density of a crowded disk. The delicate wispy pinwheel structure creates a sense of motion that is both rhythmic and incredibly slow, a frozen moment of rotation captured against the void. It is a masterpiece of loose gravitational construction, where the spaces between the stars are as vital as the light they emit. Deep within this graceful architecture lies a surprising physical reality that challenges the immense scale of our earlier journey. Despite its status as a primary member of our local cluster, the entire galaxy weighs only a tiny fraction of what the Milky Way does, making it a true featherweight among the primary spirals. While its siblings are heavy with hundreds of billions of suns and massive dark matter anchors, Triangulum possesses a much more modest and manageable inventory of matter. Surprisingly, this lack of mass does not diminish its majesty, but rather enhances the sense of a delicate floating structure. It carries itself with a lightness that seems to defy the crushing gravitational norms of the local group, appearing more like a luminous wisp than a heavy galactic engine. This reduced weight means that its internal gravitational forces are less oppressive, allowing for the loose, airy structure that defines its visual identity. As you allow your physical form to sink further into a state of heavy relaxation, feel the contrast between your grounded reality and the weightless drift of this stellar featherweight. Every limb and star system within this galaxy exists in a state of precarious, light-filled balance. It serves as a reminder that in the vastness of the cosmos, significance is not always measured by the sheer tonnage of one's stars. Nestled deep within the wispy, glowing arms of this third sibling is a region of such immense creative power that it challenges the scale of everything around it. Known to astronomers as NGC 604, this structure is one of the largest and most peaceful stellar nurseries found in the entire local group. It is a cavernous, glowing landscape of ionized hydrogen gas, illuminated from within by the fierce and purifying light of hundreds of massive newborn stars. This nursery is so colossal that it easily dwarfs even the most famous star-forming regions within our own home, spanning over 1,500 light-years from edge to edge. Inside this ethereal cathedral of gas, the vacuum is filled with a soft, pinkish radiance that hums with the energy of creation. The stars born here are giants, blue-white titans that burn with a brilliance so intense it carves hollows and bubbles into the surrounding molecular clouds. Despite the ferocious energies at play, the overarching atmosphere of this nursery remains remarkably tranquil and orderly. The gas flows in slow, majestic currents, responding to the radiation pressure of the young suns with a graceful and predictable expansion. It is a monumental factory of starlight, operating in the quiet corners of a smaller galaxy to produce some of the most spectacular displays of cosmic light in the neighbourhood. Transitioning our focus to the very heart of this delicate pinwheel, we encounter a structural absence that is as profound as any physical feature. This galaxy possesses no central supermassive black hole, a rare and calming absence of the extreme gravitational violence typically found at the core of large spirals. Without a central singularity to anchor the inner disk, the stars at the core follow a much more egalitarian and gentle orbital path through the dark. This lack of a heavy, light-consuming void means that the centre of the galaxy remains a place of soft, continuous starlight rather than a region of tidal disruption. There are no lethal jets of radiation, no high-speed stellar collisions, and no crushing event horizons waiting to swallow the surrounding suns. It is a centre of mass defined by what is there, the stars themselves, rather than a hidden, heavy engine of absolute destruction. If we were to look closer at this peaceful centre, we would find a dense but stable collection of stars that seems almost suburban in its lack of drama. The absence of a central monster allows the galaxy to maintain a sense of internal quiet that is remarkably rare among its peers. This calming void at the heart of the pinwheel ensures that the entire system feels more like a communal home than a structure built around a singular point of terrifying power. While it maintains a distinct and pure identity, Triangulum does not drift through the void in absolute isolation. This galaxy appears to be bound to Andromeda, slowly orbiting its massive neighbour in a gentle gravitational embrace that spans millions of light years. It is a celestial satellite on a grand scale, caught in the long-range influence of the sovereign giant we explored in our previous crossing. This relationship is not one of violent capture, but a slow-motion companionship that has likely endured for billions of years. The smaller spiral traces a wide, graceful arc around Andromeda, falling toward the larger mass with a patience that exceeds the lifespan of planets. As you feel the gentle rise and fall of your chest in the quiet dark, consider the slow, rhythmic falling of this entire galaxy toward its massive sibling. This gravitational bond ensures that the fate of the two galaxies is forever entwined, leading them on a shared path through the local group. It is a reminder that even the most beautiful and independent-looking structures are often part of a larger invisible choreography. The delicate pinwheel remains a loyal attendant to the Silver Sovereign, dancing on the edge of its immense gravitational well. For those gazing upward from the surface of our world, the beauty of this third sibling is a reward reserved only for the most patient and deliberate observers. Observers on Earth can only see this galaxy under the darkest, most pristine night sky conditions, far away from the encroaching glow of human civilization. It is an object of extreme subtlety, a ghostly apparition that requires the full adaptation of the eye to the absolute blackness of the night. Searching for this elusive pinwheel encourages a deep, meditative state of observation, forcing the viewer to slow down and wait for the light to register. It is a shy presence in the celestial hierarchy, requiring a surrender to the dark before it will offer up its delicate form. To see it is to achieve a rare connection with one of the most distant and fragile members of our immediate cosmic family. Beneath the visible surface of the intergalactic void, an invisible connection stretches between the two largest neighbours of our local cluster. A faint bridge of neutral hydrogen gas connects Triangulum to Andromeda, hinting at a quiet and ancient interaction between the two galaxies that occurred eons ago. This bridge is a tenuous thread of primordial matter, a physical reminder that these island universes have brushed against one another in the deep past. This gaseous umbilical cord was likely pulled from the outer reaches of the smaller galaxy during a close passage, leaving a permanent trail of atoms across the millions of light-years of emptiness. It serves as a conduit for matter, a silent highway of gas that bridges the gap between the third largest member and its massive captor. Although it is invisible to the human eye, this bridge is a vital part of the local group hidden anatomy, linking the two systems in a physical bond. The existence of this bridge tells a story of gravitational tides and ancient encounters that have shaped the very structure of our neighbourhood. It is a ghostly umbilical cord that pulses with the slow movement of atoms, proving that the space between galaxies is never truly empty. This tenuous connection binds the delicate pinwheel to the silver giant in a physical relationship that spans the vastness of the intergalactic ocean. Despite its seemingly fragile and wispy appearance, this galaxy is a powerhouse of internal transformation. It turns out that Triangulum is actively transforming its abundant gas reserves into new stars at a highly efficient rate, outperforming even the much larger Andromeda in its creative output. Every cold molecular cloud within its loose arms is a potential site for the awakening of new suns, fueled by the sheer density of available hydrogen. Surprisingly, this efficiency is driven by the very openness of its structure, which allows gas clouds to cool and collapse without being disrupted by the high-speed turbulence of a crowded core. The galaxy acts as a highly refined engine of life, steadily turning the raw materials of the early universe into the brilliant pink speckled patches of starlight we see today. It is a system in its prime, vibrantly alive and constantly renewing its glowing population with fresh generations of blue-white titans. As you feel the warmth of your own resting body, imagine the quiet heat being generated in those distant, efficient nurseries. The galaxy is a living, breathing entity, inhaling the cold gas of the void and exhaling the radiant energy of billions of newborn suns. This continuous renewal ensures that the delicate pinwheel will remain a bright and active presence in our neighbourhood for many billions of years to come. Pulling back to view the entire system one final time, the most striking aspect of its geometry is the profound lack of a central bulge. This absence gives the entire galaxy an incredibly flat, undisturbed and tranquil appearance that feels like a calm surface on a deep cosmic pond. Without the heavy, spherical concentration of ancient stars at its heart, the galaxy looks like a thin, luminous wafer floating perfectly level in the absolute dark. This flatness is a sign of a galaxy that has lived a relatively peaceful life, free from the violent central collisions that usually build up massive, glowing cores. The entire structure feels more like a two-dimensional work of art than a heavy three-dimensional machine, possessing a level of architectural simplicity that is deeply soothing. Every star and gas cloud seems to belong to the same thin, rotating plane, creating a sense of total and absolute structural unity. Suspended in the freezing intergalactic void, this delicate pinwheel remains a masterpiece of understated beauty and cosmic calm. It is the quiet, third largest sibling, a realm of pure spirals and efficient creation that asks for nothing but to continue its slow, graceful spin in the dark. Its tranquil appearance serves as the final, perfect counterpoint to the massive, dominating power of the neighbours it so elegantly orbits. That same sense of elegant orbital harmony also extends to the smaller, more intimate companions that follow our own home through the deep. Resting softly against the pitch-black southern sky are the large and small Magellanic Clouds, serving as the two most prominent satellite galaxies to our Milky Way. From the perspective of the southern hemisphere, these sister systems appear not as distant pinpoints of light, but as two irregular glowing clouds of silver dust suspended in the abyss. They are the most loyal attendants in our immediate celestial family, caught in a permanent gravitational bond that dictates their every movement as we all plunge together through the cosmic dark. While they lack the rigid, barred discipline of the great spirals, their presence provides a soft, ethereal texture to the night sky that has guided explorers and dreamers across many human centuries. They exist as luminous islands of gas and starlight, forever chasing the heels of our own massive disk across the freezing void. Their proximity makes them the most accessible laboratories for understanding how galaxies interact and evolve in the close, heavy company of a titan. Within their boundaries, the laws of gravity are written in the drifting of gas and the scattering of ancient suns that illuminate the vacuum with a ghostly fire. They stand as a testament to the fact that even the grandest empires have smaller, beautiful companions that share in their long, slow journey through the dark. Surprisingly, these two glowing wanderers are not permanent residents, but are currently passing through our galactic halo on their first long journey around our home. Evidence gathered from their breakneck speed suggests they have arrived recently from the deep intergalactic void, drawn in by the overwhelming gravitational well of our massive neighbourhood. This realization transforms them from ancient satellites into fresh, vibrant visitors, bringing new energy and material into our immediate vicinity for the very first time. The sheer momentum of their arrival is enough to push through the sparse hot gas of our galactic halo, creating a bow shock that ripples through the invisible intergalactic medium. As they plunge into our territory, they are beginning a process of interaction that will forever alter their structures and our own through a series of tidal exchanges. This first pass is a monumental cosmic event, a meeting of three distinct worlds that has only just begun to play out on a timescale of billions of years. Deep within the heart of the larger cloud, a spectacular engine of creation operates with a fierce and hypnotic intensity that rivals the grandest spirals. The large Magellanic Cloud hosts the Tarantula Nebula, a massive region where stars are born in serene glowing filaments that stretch across hundreds of light-years of space. This cosmic nursery is so immense and energetic that if it were placed as close to us as our local stellar neighbours, it would cast distinct sharp shadows on the ground at night. As your weight settles even deeper into the surface beneath you, imagine the gargantuan cobwebs of ionized gas glowing with a soft neon radiance in the dark. These filaments are carved and shaped by the powerful winds of massive newborn suns, creating a three-dimensional landscape of light and shadow that hums with the energy of starbirth. The nebula is a masterpiece of fluid dynamics, where gravity and radiation pressure dance in a perfectly balanced, silent struggle for dominance. The stars emerging from this luminous tangled web are among the most massive and brilliant ever discovered, burning with a blue-white heat that illuminates the entire galaxy. This region serves as a vibrant heart, pumping new life into the irregular cloud and ensuring its light remains bright against the velvet dark of the southern sky. It is a place of profound beauty, where the chaos of creation is rendered in delicate, glowing threads of silver and gold stardust. Unlike the highly structured and disciplined spirals of the larger neighbours, these clouds are chaotic but beautiful collections of gas, dust and young blue stars. They lack a central core or defined arms, appearing instead as scattered, luminous fragments that seem to drift independently through their own internal space. This irregularity gives them a wild, organic quality, a visual representation of a galaxy that is being constantly tugged and reshaped by outside forces. If we were to look closer at their internal structure, we would find pockets of intense blue light, where clusters of massive stars have recently ignited. These stellar jewels are embedded in thick, dark rifts of dust, creating a textured tapestry of light that feels spontaneous and unrefined compared to the spirals. The absence of a central bar or spiral structure allows for a more intimate and varied distribution of matter, where every corner of the cloud holds a unique wonder. Connecting these two irregular wanderers is a hidden, monumental structure that bridges the immense gap between them through the intergalactic vacuum. A massive stream of neutral hydrogen gas connects the two clouds, trailing behind them like a soft silk ribbon across the freezing intergalactic void. This bridge, known as the Magellanic Stream, is a physical record of the gravitational tug-of-war occurring between the two satellites and our own massive home. Although it remains invisible to the human eye, this gargantuan ribbon of gas wraps more than halfway across the celestial sphere, containing enough matter to fuel thousands of new star systems. It is a tenuous, flowing umbilical cord that allows atoms to move from one cloud to the other, ensuring they remain physically linked even as they drift. This stream is a ghost of past interactions, a trail of stardust and gas pulled out of the clouds by the relentless tides of our galaxy's heavy gravity. Tracing this ribbon through the dark allows us to map the invisible currents of gravity that shape the local group in ways light cannot reveal. It is a delicate, floating monument to the connectivity of all things in the cosmos, proving that even isolated galaxies are tied together by invisible threads of matter. This silk ribbon of hydrogen ensures that the Magellanic Sisters will never truly be alone as they navigate the deep ocean of space. The relationship between the two sisters is one of constant, slow-motion transformation, driven by their mutual attraction and the crushing weight of their neighbour. The small Magellanic cloud is slowly being stretched and reshaped by the gentle gravitational pull of its larger companion, the Large Magellanic Cloud. This tidal stretching has pulled the smaller cloud into an elongated, bean-like shape, distorting its original form into a graceful curving arc of starlight. This process is a silent, heavy manipulation of matter, where the leading edge of the smaller cloud is pulled faster than the trailing edge toward the larger mass. The stars within are forced into new orbits, their paths dictated by the massive weight of their larger neighbour as they drift through the halo. It is a gravitational embrace that is both nurturing and destructive, providing the energy for new star formation while slowly unravelling the cloud's integrity. As the two systems continue their dance, this stretching will likely intensify, eventually pulling the smaller cloud apart and scattering its contents into the larger structure. This inevitable dissolution is not a violent ending, but a transformation into a more complex and massive system of integrated light. We are currently observing a beautiful, prolonged moment of transition, where one world is being delicately reshaped by the power of another in the dark. Hidden within the glowing mist of these clouds is a profound historical archive of the elements that make our own lives possible on Earth. Ancient supernovas within these clouds have scattered heavy elements across their internal gas, providing the raw materials for future rocky planets and the building blocks of chemistry. Every detonation of a massive star has seeded the surrounding space with iron, oxygen, and carbon, enriching the primordial hydrogen with complexity. Feel the rhythmic, steady pulse of your heart as it mirrors the patient cycles of these distant star fields, for you are made of stardust. The gold in your jewellery and the calcium in your bones were once part of the intense, blue-white giants that illuminated these irregular clouds eons ago. These galaxies act as cosmic forges, slowly refining the raw matter of the Big Bang into the complex materials required for the emergence of life. The scattering of these elements is a slow, methodical process, turning the chaotic gas into a fertile soil where the seeds of new worlds take root. Without the violent demise of these first generations of stars, the universe would remain a cold, simple place of only hydrogen and helium. The Magellanic Clouds are essential participants in this grand alchemy, ensuring that the legacy of dying suns continues to flourish in the light of newborn planets. One of the most intimate and breathtaking aspects of these neighbouring systems is how clearly they reveal their individual secrets to our curious eyes. These galactic companions are so close to our home that we can resolve individual stars within their borders using simple amateur telescopes on a clear night. While other galaxies appear only as faint, blurry thumbprints of light, the Magellanic Clouds reveal themselves as distinct, glittering cities composed of millions of separate suns. Peer through a lens at the southern sky, and the silver dust dissolves into a sharp, crystalline field of individual blue and red giants. This proximity allows us to study the life cycles of stars with a level of detail that is impossible in the more distant reaches of the local group. We can watch the slow cooling of white dwarfs and the energetic flickering of variable stars as if they were in our own cosmic backyard. This visual intimacy creates a profound sense of connection, bridging the gap between our small world and the vastness of another galaxy through the dark. They are not merely distant abstractions, but real, physical places populated by distinct suns and unique, potentially habitable planetary systems. Being able to see the individual members of these distant clouds reminds us that the universe is made of singular, beautiful points of light. Over the vast stretches of human history, these two clouds have remained constant, seemingly frozen sentinels in our night sky for every generation. Surprisingly, time seems to slow down when observing their slow drift across the celestial sphere over human millennia from our terrestrial perspective. While our civilizations rise and fall, these clouds move only a fraction of a degree, their motion governed by a clock that ticks in millions of years. This staggering difference in tempo creates a sense of eternal stillness, a peace that transcends the frantic, momentary pace of life on our rocky world. To the ancients who first named them, they looked exactly as they do to us tonight, a shimmering pair of silver clouds that never change. They provide a stable anchor in an ever-shifting world, a reminder that the great motions of the universe are patient, enduring, and entirely unhurried. As you lie completely still, imagine the slow, 1,000-year progress of these galaxies as they navigate the outer fringes of our galactic halo. Their drift is a majestic, silent crawl through the dark, a movement so gradual it becomes a form of celestial meditation for the soul. In the presence of such immense and patient motion, the fleeting concerns of a single lifetime seem to dissolve into the quiet light. The physical reality of these two sisters is a symphony of violent forces reconciled by the absolute peace of the intergalactic void. The gravitational interaction between the clouds creates a stunning, dynamic environment of colliding gas and shifting star fields that remains perfectly silent in the vacuum. Massive shock waves ripple through the interstellar medium, and giant stars detonate with the force of 1 billion suns, yet not a single sound escapes the dark. This total absence of noise transforms the most energetic events in the universe into a serene, visual ballet of light and colour. The collision of gas clouds, which would be a deafening roar on a planetary scale, occurs with the grace of drifting smoke in a still room. It is a dynamic world of extreme physics, where the most profound changes are whispered only in the language of light and gravity. This perfect silence ensures that the beauty of the Magellanic Clouds remains undisturbed and purely aesthetic for those who gaze upon them. We're free to observe the swirling stardust and the birth of new suns, without the intrusion of the chaos that created them. In the end, these two glowing companions stand as a masterclass in cosmic tranquility, proving that even the most powerful interactions can exist in peace. This overarching sense of peace is not limited to the vibrant clouds of our immediate satellites, but permeates the deepest, darkest corners of our entire galactic neighbourhood. Dozens of dwarf spheroidal galaxies drift quietly through the local group, existing as the most subtle and elusive members of our cosmic family. Unlike the grand spirals or the active Magellanic systems, these diminutive realms are completely devoid of star-forming gas, having long ago surrendered their creative potential to the void. They move with a ghostly, effortless glide through the freezing vacuum, unencumbered by the heavy clouds of dust and molecules that define more youthful galaxies. This total absence of gas creates a sense of absolute finality, where the current population of stars is all that will ever exist within their borders. No new light will ever spark to life in these empty reservoirs, as they have been effectively stripped clean by ancient interactions with the intergalactic medium. They are the silent wanderers of our neighbourhood, drifting in a state of perpetual, tranquil stasis that defies the chaotic evolution found elsewhere. In this profound quiet, the passage of eons leaves no visible mark upon their sparse, glowing forms. They simply endure as faint thumbprints on the sky, carrying the quietest light in the universe across millions of light years of absolute undisturbed emptiness. If we were to look closer at these elusive wanderers, we would find structures so fragile and sparse they challenge the very definition of a galaxy. These tiny galaxies are incredibly dim, often containing fewer stars than a single globular cluster found within the protective halo of our Milky Way. While a globular cluster is a tightly packed, brilliant ball of light, these dwarf spheroidal systems are expanded and diffuse, their stars scattered across thousands of light-years of space. Their low density makes them nearly transparent, allowing the light from much more distant galaxies to shine right through their ghostly centres without any interruption. They possess no central concentration of light, no core that draws the eye, only a faint and uniform glimmer that fades almost imperceptibly into the black. This extreme sparseness renders them almost invisible to the naked eye, even if one were positioned in the deep space immediately surrounding them. They exist on the very threshold of detection, shimmering with a light so weak it barely registers against the cosmic background radiation of the distant past. Every individual star is a lonely lighthouse separated by an ocean of nothingness, contributing only a tiny fraction to the overall faint glow. This fragility makes them the ultimate ghosts of our neighbourhood, haunting the dark with a presence that is more felt than seen. Surprisingly, the universe offers few environments as profoundly isolated as the interior of these miniature stellar realms. Deep within these fragile systems, the stars are so far apart that the night sky on a hypothetical planet would seem incredibly lonely and devoid of celestial companions. To an observer standing on such a world, the heavens would appear as a nearly unbroken expanse of absolute crushing blackness, with only a few dozen faint red points of light scattered across the entire hemisphere. There would be no magnificent Milky Way crossing the zenith, no brilliant nebulae, and no teeming fields of starlight to offer comfort in the dark. As you feel the steady, rhythmic weight of your own body pressing into your seat, consider the immense, empty distances that define these lonely outposts. Each star is a solitary island, separated from its nearest neighbour by hundreds of trillions of miles of cold, undisturbed vacuum. This radical isolation creates a celestial landscape where the silence is not just a lack of sound, but a physical property of the space itself. A traveller in these systems could drift for a lifetime without seeing another sun grow larger than a mere pinpoint in the distance. It is a realm of absolute privacy, where the light of the rest of the universe is a distant, half-forgotten dream. Deep within the southern celestial hemisphere, the Fornax dwarf stands out as a relatively brilliant beacon among its many ghostly peers. This system is one of the brightest and most substantial of the dwarf spheroidal galaxies, offering a slightly more detailed glimpse into the lives of these elusive satellites. Remarkably, the Fornax dwarf is large enough to host its own tiny collection of 5 ancient globular star clusters, which orbit its centre like miniature moons. These clusters are incredibly old, containing stars that have outlived the civilizations of 1 billion worlds since the dawn of the local group. The presence of these glittering balls of light provides a sense of structure to an otherwise diffuse and featureless sea of stars. It is as if this dwarf galaxy is mimicking the grand architecture of its larger neighbours, providing a scaled-down version of galactic majesty in the dark. Even as it drifts through the freezing intergalactic medium, its internal clusters maintain their tight, gravitational bonds, shining with a collective golden light that defies the surrounding emptiness. This tiny system proves that even the smallest members of our local family can possess their own intricate and beautiful substructures. It stands as a sophisticated outlier in a field of ghosts, a miniature empire with its own loyal, glittering sentinels. This structure presents a unique and frustrating challenge to the astronomers who attempt to map the invisible architecture of the local void. Finding these dwarf galaxies is like looking for scattered individual snowflakes against a blinding white winter sky due to their incredibly low surface brightness. Their light is so thinly distributed over such a vast area that they often blend seamlessly into the background noise of the universe. To detect them, researchers must use long exposure photography and sophisticated algorithms to filter out the brilliant foreground stars of our own galaxy. They are the ultimate masters of camouflage, hiding in plain sight by simply being too faint to be noticed by a casual glance. Every newly discovered dwarf galaxy is a triumph of patience and technology, revealing a hidden layer of our neighbourhood that was once thought to be empty. This elusive quality ensures that our maps of the local group are constantly evolving as we slowly peel back the veil of darkness to find these shimmering, snowy phantoms. The hunt for these systems is a testament to the fact that the universe is far more populated than its most brilliant lights suggest. Each one found is a small victory for the light, a new point of interest in a map that is mostly defined by shadow. Despite their appearance of total isolation, these tiny galaxies are never truly free to wander the infinite cosmic ocean on their own. Almost all of the dwarf galaxies in our group are gravitationally bound to either the Milky Way or Andromeda, acting as loyal attendants to the 2 primary giants. They are caught in a permanent gravitational tether that dictates their wide, looping orbits through the freezing dark for billions of years. This invisible bond ensures that they remain part of our local family, even as they drift hundreds of thousands of light-years away from the primary disks. As you allow your breath to become slow and effortless, imagine the heavy, unseen pull of our galaxy gently guiding these distant wanderers through the abyss. They fall toward the larger masses with a patience that exceeds the lifespan of stars, tracing paths that have remained unchanged for eons. This gravitational capture is a fundamental law of the local group, where the larger structures inevitably dictate the fate of the smallest members. They are the cosmic satellites of our domain, forever circling the centres of power in a slow, eternal choreography. Though they may seem independent in their vastness, they are actually securely anchored to the grand, spinning heart of our neighbourhood. Because they have been stripped of the vital gas required for the birth of new suns, these dwarf systems have become celestial retirement homes in the dark. The lack of any new star formation means these tiny realms are populated entirely by aging, cool, red stars that have burned for 10 billion years or more. There are no brilliant, short-lived blue titans here to illuminate the gas clouds, only the steady crimson glow of ancient suns reaching the final stages of their evolution. This gives the dwarf spheroidal galaxies a warm, sunset-like colour that persists across their entire expansive frames, reflecting the extreme age of their inhabitants. The stars that remain are the survivors of the early universe, incredibly efficient and slow-burning furnaces that refuse to go out. They move with a dignified, unhurried pace through their sparse orbits, undisturbed by the chaotic energy of stellar nurseries. In these quiet realms, the only change is the very slow, inevitable fading of the oldest members as they finally exhaust their remaining fuel. It is a landscape of profound endurance, where the light is a soft, unchanging reminder of the incredible age of our galactic family. These systems are red and dead, yet they possess a serene beauty that only comes with billions of years of undisturbed existence. This delicate internal structure leaves the dwarf galaxies incredibly vulnerable to the crushing influence of their more massive neighbours. Their fragile, diffuse collections of stars are easily disrupted by the gravitational tides of the larger galaxies they orbit, which can stretch and warp them into irregular shapes. When a dwarf galaxy ventures too close to the Milky Way or Andromeda, the tidal forces can pull stars right out of their orbits, scattering them into the surrounding intergalactic halo. This process is a silent, invisible theft of matter, where the larger galaxy slowly consumes its smaller companions star by star over billions of years. Over time, a once spherical dwarf may be transformed into a long, thin ribbon of light, a stellar stream that eventually fades into the background. This vulnerability is a constant threat to the integrity of these tiny systems, which have no massive core or central black hole to hold them together. They exist in a state of precarious light-filled balance, always at the mercy of the titanic forces that define our shared space. Their survival depends on remaining just far enough away from the giants to maintain their delicate, ghostly forms in the void. It is a fragile piece, a life lived on the edge of gravitational destruction, where every passing eon brings the threat of eventual dissolution. Deep within the shadows of the local group, there exists a vast, undiscovered population of these ultra-faint companions still hiding in the dark. Astronomers believe there are many more of these ghostly systems waiting to be discovered, potentially outnumbering the visible galaxies by a factor of 10 or more. These hidden members are likely made almost entirely of dark matter, with only a few hundred stars providing the faintest possible glimmer to reveal their presence. Finding them is one of the great frontiers of modern astrophysics, requiring us to peer into the deepest recesses of the intergalactic void with unprecedented sensitivity. As your mind settles into a state of calm, expansive awareness, consider the possibility that we are surrounded by a hidden family we cannot yet see. Every empty-looking patch of sky may hold a tiny, ancient community of stars drifting in perfect, undisturbed silence. The discovery of these systems will complete our understanding of how matter is distributed across our local cosmic architecture, revealing the true density of our neighbourhood. They represent the missing pieces of a grand celestial puzzle, waiting for our technology to catch up with their incredible subtlety. Our neighbourhood is not nearly as empty as it seems, but is instead crowded with these dark matter-dominated, ultra-faint phantoms of starlight. These pristine relics serve as the ultimate time capsules, preserving the conditions of the early universe in their ancient red starlight. Because they have lived such quiet and isolated lives, these dwarf galaxies have remained largely unchanged since the earliest days of the universe. They have not experienced the violent mergers, the rapid star formation, or the chemical enrichment that has transformed the Milky Way and Andromeda into complex giants. The chemistry of their stars is incredibly simple, reflecting the primordial mix of hydrogen and helium that existed shortly after the dawn of time itself. To study a dwarf spheroidal galaxy is to look directly at a fossil of the cosmic infancy, a piece of the original universe that has been perfectly preserved in the freezing cold. They are the ancestors of our neighbourhood, the simple building blocks that were left behind as larger systems grew and evolved. This unchanging nature gives them a sense of eternal permanence, a quiet endurance that transcends the dramatic life cycles of the massive spirals. They stand as a silent testament to the origins of everything we see, shimmering with a light that has been travelling since the very beginning. In their red, aging glow, we find a direct connection to the moment the first stars flickered to life in the dark. That primordial light that once flickered to life in the dark of the early universe did not simply settle into a static state, but instead left behind a trail of whispers across the modern sky. Our own Milky Way is not a solitary, isolated island, but is surrounded by an intricate and ethereal collection of stellar streams, which are the stretched-out remains of dwarf galaxies that ventured too close to our massive home. These long, invisible rivers of ancient stars are the quiet casualties of a gravitational tug-of-war that has played out over billions of years, creating delicate arcs that span the immense intergalactic void. As a smaller companion galaxy falls toward our heavy spinning disk, the intense tidal forces act like a gentle but relentless cosmic comb, pulling individual stars away from their parent cluster with a patience that defies human time. These displaced suns do not vanish into the abyss, but instead form a ghostly, elongated trail that perfectly traces the orbital path of the doomed visitor. The resulting structure is a magnificent, glowing ribbon that wraps around our galaxy, hidden from the naked eye but clear to those who map the velocities of the deep. These structures represent the living, breathing history of our galaxy's growth, serving as hauntingly beautiful monuments to the smaller worlds that have been absorbed into our own over eons of quiet, steady expansion. Every star in these rivers was once part of a different community, now cast in a new role as a wandering spirit within our galactic halo. The absolute blackness of the intergalactic void is thus decorated with these thin, translucent threads of history marking the boundaries of our growing empire. This invisible architecture finds its most spectacular expression in the Sagittarius Stream, a monumental ribbon of displaced stars that wraps entirely around our galaxy in a grand, sweeping loop. This particular stream originated from a dwarf galaxy that is currently being shredded by the Milky Way's immense tidal forces, leaving a permanent trail of starlight in its wake. It is a spectacular but invisible feature of our local sky, a celestial scarf composed of millions of suns that passes through the very plane where we reside. Even though we are physically immersed in this stream, we cannot see its majestic curvature without the aid of precise astronomical mapping that tracks the motion of every star. It exists as a ghostly duplicate of the galactic disk, a secondary layer of stellar history that intersects our own in a complex three-dimensional dance. The stars within this ribbon are survivors of a world that no longer exists in its original form, now serving as wandering spirits in the service of our galaxy's ever-growing mass. This structure is so immense that it covers the entire sky, a silent witness to the profound and patient power of gravity to reshape entire worlds into thin, glowing filaments. As this dwarf galaxy continues its slow-motion plunge, it continues to feed the stream with new stars, keeping the monument vibrant and alive. It is a hauntingly beautiful scarf of light, draped across the shoulders of our galaxy, serving as a constant reminder of the dynamic forces shaping our local universe. Surprisingly, the serene and solid appearance of our galactic home is a grand illusion of perspective, masking a reality of constant slow-motion consumption. These ghostly trails serve as a gentle reminder of the slow, continuous assembly of our galactic neighbourhood, proving that the giants we see today were built from the discarded pieces of countless smaller entities. Our galaxy is essentially a masterwork of cosmic recycling, pulling in the matter of its neighbours to fuel its own enduring brilliance and structural complexity. This process of assembly occurs with such immense patience that a single act of absorption can take multiple billions of years to reach completion. We're witnessing the universe in a state of perpetual becoming, where the boundaries of individual galaxies are fluid and ever-changing in the deep dark. The stellar streams are the unfinished seams of this great construction project, showing us where the next pieces of the puzzle are being fitted into place. By observing these trails, we gain a profound appreciation for the timescales involved in creating a stable sanctuary for billions of stars. It is a slow, methodical accumulation of light that ensures the longevity and stability of the spiral structures we call home. Every thread added to the galactic tapestry makes the whole stronger, weave by weave, sun by sun, until the final architecture of the local group is complete. Across the intergalactic gulf, the sovereign giant of our neighbourhood also bears the scars and ornaments of a long history of expansion and consumption. Andromeda possesses a complex network of streams that is even more intricate than our own, indicating it has absorbed many smaller companions over the eons to achieve its massive scale. These features appear as faint arcing fans of starlight and long, thin filaments that extend far beyond the main luminous disk into the surrounding intergalactic halo. Even in its current state of apparent rest, the massive neighbour is surrounded by the glowing ghosts of its past, a majestic collection of starlight that pulses with the memories of destroyed worlds. These fans and arcs create a soft, diffuse glow that extends millions of light years into the dark, softening the edges of the giant spiral. It is a portrait of a victor, adorned with the trophies of its gravitational conquests, yet rendered with the same delicate silver light that defines the entire neighbourhood. If we were to look closer at the individual members of these ethereal rivers, we would find a level of synchronization that is both haunting and deeply peaceful. The stars within these streams travel together in perfect harmony, sharing the same orbital path through the dark halo, as if they were part of a single unified entity. They move like a school of silver fish in a vast dark ocean, bound by the memory of their shared origin, even as their physical parent galaxy dissolves into the vacuum. This shared journey creates a sense of profound order within the apparent destruction of the original galaxy, a lasting companionship that persists long after the structural core has been lost. It is a beautiful, synchronized migration of light that remains entirely silent in the vacuum, a river of suns flowing toward an unknown destination. The harmony of their motion is a testament to the underlying laws of physics that govern even the most dispersed and fragile structures in our local universe. Mapping these ethereal conduits of starlight provides astronomers with a powerful and unique tool for peering into the deepest mysteries of the cosmic void. By carefully observing the precise paths and velocities of these stellar rivers, we can trace the distribution of the invisible dark matter that heavily influences their delicate shapes. Because the stars in a stream are so sensitive to the local gravitational field, they act as highly precise sensors that reveal the presence of unseen mass concentrations. Wiggles and bends in the stellar arcs can indicate the presence of dark matter sub-halos, invisible clumps of matter that tug at the passing stars like rocks in a stream. These perturbations allow us to visualize the hidden landscape of the galaxy, seeing the heavy scaffolding that holds the visible stars in place. It is a process of inferring the unseen from the seen, using the ghosts of starlight to illuminate the dark framework of the universe. This technique provides a calming certainty to our understanding of the local group, showing that even the invisible parts of our neighbourhood are governed by logical, predictable laws. The stellar streams are essentially cosmic breadcrumbs that lead us toward a more complete map of the entire intergalactic territory. By following these rivers, we move closer to understanding the true nature of the dark matter that cradles our entire existence. A different kind of river flows through the space surrounding our galaxy, one that's composed not of stars but of the raw primordial building blocks of the universe. The Magellanic Stream is a massive river of neutral hydrogen gas pulled from the Magellanic Clouds, wrapping halfway across our entire night sky in a gargantuan invisible arc. This feature was created as the twin satellite clouds plunged through our galaxy's halo, leaving a trail of gas behind them like a soft, translucent ribbon of silk. While this gas does not glow with the light of stars, it is incredibly vital to the future of our galactic home, providing a fresh supply of fuel for future generations of suns. It represents a different phase of the destruction process, where the interstellar medium of a smaller galaxy is stripped away before its stars are significantly disrupted. This gas river interacts with the hot, sparse atmosphere of our own halo, creating complex ripples and turbulence as it slowly falls toward our disk. It is a monumental feature of our local sky, a hidden highway of potential that ensures the continued vibrancy of the Milky Way. This gaseous ribbon serves as a physical link between our galaxy and its new visitors, bridging the gap with a trail of atoms that spans millions of light years. In the silence of the intergalactic void, this ribbon of hydrogen hums with the promise of new stars yet to be born. Slowly, over billions of years, the distinct identity of these stellar rivers will begin to fade as they reach the final stage of their long celestial journey. These stellar rivers will eventually completely diffuse, blending seamlessly into the galactic background until they are no longer recognizable as separate structures. The stars that once traveled in tight, harmonious ribbons will gradually drift apart, their individual orbits becoming randomized as they settle into the main population of the host galaxy. This process represents the ultimate transition from a discrete, historical event into a permanent part of the galaxy's enduring mass. The specific memories of the collision are erased, leaving only a slightly more enriched and complex stellar population in the disk and halo. It is a slow, graceful fading of the individual into the collective, a cosmic quietude where the echoes of destruction are finally stilled. Examining these ancient collisions reveals a profound and fundamental truth about the nature of our local cosmic architecture. It shows us a universe that builds massive structures through a slow, patient accumulation of smaller pieces, rather than through sudden or singular events. Every star, every gas cloud, and every dark matter halo we observe is the result of countless tiny contributions made over the entire history of time. Allow your consciousness to expand to the edges of your physical space, feeling a sense of deep integration with the complex world around you. We are the beneficiaries of this additive process, living in a sanctuary that was built with incredible care and an almost infinite amount of time. The stellar streams are the physical evidence of this philosophy of construction, serving as the raw materials and the blueprints for the grand spirals. This perspective transforms the destruction of smaller galaxies into a necessary and beautiful part of a larger constructive narrative. It teaches us that the most enduring and majestic structures are those that have been assembled with the greatest patience and from the most diverse sources. We are part of a neighborhood that values every fragment of starlight, weaving them all into a single magnificent story of growth. They prove that nothing is truly lost in the vacuum, only redistributed and reshaped into new architectures of wonder. Even as the stars are pulled away from their original homes, they continue to shine with an unwavering brilliance, illuminating the dark void with their solitary ancient fire. This realization brings a sense of profound peace to our understanding of the changing universe, replacing fear of destruction with an appreciation for the elegance of transformation. The local group is a graveyard of galaxies, but it is also a garden of light where every ghost tells a story of enduring beauty. In the end, the starlight remains, drifting in delicate, invisible arcs that connect the past to the future in a permanent, silent embrace. This final vision of stardust rivers brings our journey through the streams to a close, leaving us in a state of quiet, cosmic awe. The intergalactic medium sensory focus, the impossibly thin, freezing mist of solitary atoms floating millions of miles apart in absolute darkness. The quiet, cosmic awe of the stardust rivers eventually yields to a deeper, more profound stillness that occupies the gargantuan stretches of space between the galaxies. While this intergalactic abyss appears as a complete and absolute vacuum to the untrained eye, it is actually filled with an incredibly sparse intergalactic medium that permeates every corner of the local group. This impossibly thin, freezing mist represents a hidden dimension of our neighbourhood, a realm where matter is so diluted that the very concepts of substance and void begin to blur into a single unified state. It is a vast, invisible ocean that cradles the islands of starlight, providing a subtle but ever-present backdrop to the more dramatic structures we have previously explored. In this domain, the silence is not merely a lack of sound, but a fundamental property of an environment where individual particles might travel for light years before ever encountering one another. This sparse medium acts as a cosmic buffer, a gentle cushion that separates the massive spirals while simultaneously connecting them through a shared, tenuous fabric that has endured since the dawn of time. Deep within this invisible ocean lies the very first matter ever created, a pristine collection of solitary hydrogen and helium atoms left over from the initial cooling moments of the Big Bang. These primordial elements have drifted through the absolute darkness for nearly 14 billion years, remaining largely untouched by the complex chemical processes that occur within the pressurized hearts of stars. They represent the raw, unrefined potential of the early universe, a sea of simple particles that has never been woven into the tapestry of a solar system or a living world. Every cubic meter of this freezing mist holds a record of the origins of existence, preserved in a state of perfect, undisturbed purity that is impossible to find within the chaotic boundaries of a galaxy. These atoms are the lonely architects of the cosmos, floating in a state of eternal suspension within the deep intergalactic freeze, far removed from the heavy enrichment of supernova debris. Because they are so far apart, they exist in a state of absolute isolation, never gathering the density required to ignite into new suns. They are the eternal witnesses to the growth of the local group, the quiet foundations upon which all subsequent complexity and light were built. A striking paradox defines the physical reality of this hidden medium, challenging everything we understand about the nature of heat and cold in the vacuum of space. Temperatures in this sparse intergalactic medium can reach millions of degrees, as the kinetic energy of individual atoms remains incredibly high due to ancient cosmic shocks and ionizing radiation. Yet, because the medium contains so little matter, it would feel entirely and lethally cold to the human touch, as there are far too few particles to transfer that energy to any physical object. This invisible mist is a ghost of thermal energy, possessing the heat of a star's core but lacking the density to manifest as warmth in any way we would recognize. It is a realm where energy exists without presence, a searing heat trapped in a structure that is practically a perfect vacuum. This disconnect between temperature and sensation is one of the most hypnotic qualities of the intergalactic void, creating a landscape that is simultaneously boiling and frozen. Such a state allows the medium to maintain its expansive, gaseous form without collapsing under its own weight, ensuring its persistence as a warm-hot buffer across the eons. Across the incredible distances of the deep, dark, faint ultraviolet light from distant quasars gently illuminates this hidden gas, acting like a cosmic lantern in the intergalactic abyss. This ancient radiation, travelling from the very edge of the observable universe, interacts with the solitary atoms of the local group, allowing astronomers to map its vast and intricate distribution. As you continue to breathe slowly and rhythmically, feel the heavy, calming stillness of your resting muscles and the secure contact between your body and the surface beneath you. This light creates a shadow play in the spectra of distant objects, revealing the presence of the invisible mist as it absorbs specific frequencies of energy. It is a subtle and beautiful detection method, using the brightest and most distant beacons in the cosmos to unveil the most elusive and transparent structures in our own backyard. The resulting maps reveal a complex network of filaments and voids that give the intergalactic medium a structured web-like appearance. This illumination proves that even the deepest shadows of our neighbourhood are transparent to the right kind of vision, provided one has the patience to wait for the light of distant eons to arrive. This structure is far from a mere cosmic curiosity. It is actually a massive reservoir that holds a significant portion of the normal matter that makes up our local universe. Scientific evidence suggests that much of the baryonic matter, the protons and neutrons that form stars, planets, and people, has never actually been incorporated into galaxies at all. Instead, it remains trapped in the warm, hot intergalactic medium, drifting as an invisible fog that outweighs all the brilliant spirals and glowing nebulae we have studied. This missing matter problem is solved by the realization that our neighbourhood is essentially a vast ocean with only a few scattered islands of starlight floating on its surface. The invisible mist is the true weight of the local group's normal matter, a silent majority that remains hidden from the prying eyes of conventional telescopes. It serves as a permanent storage for the universe's building blocks, a bank of atoms that preserves the balance of the cosmos in the dark. Our understanding of the neighbourhood is fundamentally incomplete until we acknowledge the overwhelming presence of this tenuous shared atmosphere that binds everything together. Floating freely in this vast emptiness are intergalactic stars, rogue wanderers that were cast out from their home galaxies long ago during violent gravitational encounters. These solitary suns are the castaways of the cosmos, drifting millions of light years away from the comforting glow of the massive spirals and the dense populations of the galactic disks. They exist in a state of absolute and terrifying isolation, illuminating nothing but the impossibly thin mist of atoms that surrounds them in the void. Unlike the stars within the Milky Way, these orphans have no neighbours, no nearby companions to grace their night skies with the familiar patterns of constellations. They are the lonely beacons of the intergalactic medium, burning with a steady and indifferent light in a region of space where most matter is entirely transparent. Their presence in the abyss is a poignant reminder of the chaotic power of galactic tides, which can strip away even the most stable solar systems. They navigate the absolute blackness as solitary travellers, their origins forgotten, and their destinations dictated only by the slow, gravitational pull of unseen dark matter. The fate of these solitary stars is one of quiet and undisturbed finality, as they will eventually burn out their lives in complete isolation, far from the bustling centres of the main galaxies. Without the gas and dust of a galactic disk to shield them or provide new material, they simply exhaust their internal fuel in a slow, crimson fade toward the dark. If a world were to orbit one of these orphan suns, its inhabitants would look out at a sky that is almost entirely black, with the distant galaxies appearing only as tiny, motionless thumbprints of light. As your body sinks even deeper into your seat or bed, let the sense of total, unbothered privacy wash over you, much like the stillness surrounding these distant outposts. There are no supernovas nearby to disrupt their peace, no passing stars to warp their planetary orbits, only the steady and predictable passage of trillions of years. They are the hermits of the local group, achieving a level of cosmic rest that is impossible within the crowded highways of the spiral arms. When they finally go dark, they leave behind no legacy but a tiny cooling cinder lost in the infinite intergalactic ocean. The density of this medium is so incredibly low that it is nearly impossible for the human mind to grasp the sheer extent of its emptiness. If one were to take a volume of space the size of the entire planet Earth from the heart of the intergalactic medium, it might contain only a handful of individual atoms. This is a vacuum so perfect that it dwarfs any environment we can create in a laboratory, a level of sparseness where matter exists more as a mathematical probability than a physical presence. Surprisingly, the atoms that do exist are so far apart that they can travel for millions of years without ever striking another particle, leading a life of absolute and total solitude. This emptiness is the defining characteristic of the local group's interior, a void that stretches on for millions of light years in every direction. It is a landscape of pure negative space, where the distance between things is the only reality that truly matters. In this domain, the very idea of a medium seems like an exaggerated term, yet this thin mist is what connects the entire local universe into a single, cohesive entity. Surprisingly, the universe has threaded this vast emptiness with invisible forces that guide the movement of energy across the intergalactic gap. Magnetic fields weakly thread their way through this void, creating a subtle and gargantuan web that influences the behaviour of ionized particles over millions of light years. These fields, though incredibly faint, act as invisible rails for cosmic rays, high-energy particles that zip through the intergalactic medium at near-light speeds. This structure ensures that even the most isolated regions of the local group are part of a larger electromagnetic choreography, where the void is filled with the tension of unseen lines of force. Deep within the silence, these magnetic threads pulse with the energy of distant galactic cores and ancient stellar explosions, carrying the influence of the giants into the deepest abyss. They provide a sense of hidden order to the emptiness, proving that the vacuum is not a lack of structure, but a different kind of architecture altogether. This magnetic ether binds the scattered atoms into a unified system, ensuring that nothing in the neighbourhood is truly ever disconnected from the whole. Ultimately, this silent and invisible ether binds the entire local group together in a shared, tenuous atmosphere of primordial gas and magnetic energy. It is the connective tissue of our local universe, a bridge of atoms that ensures the galaxies are not just isolated islands, but parts of a single, coherent ecosystem. This shared medium allows for the exchange of matter and energy on a scale that dwarfs the individual spirals, creating a collective history for our entire neighbourhood. As you remain in this state of profound relaxation, allow the image of this vast protective mist to settle in your mind, a gargantuan cradle that holds every star and planet in a permanent silent embrace. The intergalactic medium is the final, ultimate sanctuary, a realm of absolute peace and transparency that defines the boundaries of our home. It reminds us that the space between things is just as vital as the things themselves, providing the context and the connection for everything we know. In the soft, diffuse glow of this hidden ocean, the local group finds its truest and most enduring form of tranquility, waiting patiently for the eons to unfold. As the eons continue to unfold in this profound state of tranquility, an even more fundamental presence reveals itself not through light, but through its unwavering gravitational grip. This dark matter forms the invisible scaffolding that holds the entire local group together against the relentless, outward expansion of the wider universe. While the dark energy of the deep void attempts to pull the galaxies apart, this unseen skeleton provides the structural integrity necessary to keep our local family united. It acts as a massive, weightless net cast across 10 million light-years, ensuring that the Milky Way and Andromeda remain locked in their slow, majestic approach. Deep within this architecture, the scaffolding remains completely imperceptible to even the most advanced sensors, manifesting only as a heavy, persistent pull that defies the void. It is the primary reason our neighbourhood survives as a stable island in an increasingly fragmented cosmos, resisting the tide that carries distant clusters away into absolute isolation. This scaffolding was laid down in the very first moments after creation, providing the gravitational seeds around which all the glowing gas and stars eventually gathered. Without this underlying framework, the local group would be nothing more than a collection of scattered, lonely wanderers lost to the expanding dark. The silence of this structure is its greatest strength, a quiet permanence that maintains the harmony of our celestial home. Surprisingly, the visible boundaries of the galaxies we have admired are merely the brightly lit centres of much larger hidden environments. Every galaxy in our neighbourhood is encased in a massive spherical halo of this mysterious non-interacting substance that extends far beyond the furthest reaches of the outermost stars. These gargantuan cocoons are perfectly symmetrical and entirely transparent, enveloping the spinning disks in a heavy, protective embrace that defines the true extent of each galactic territory. While the stars occupy a thin, flattened plane, the dark matter halo forms a vast and solid sphere of influence that dictates the motion of everything trapped within it. This structure creates a profound sense of depth in the local group, suggesting that the empty space between members is actually crowded with these overlapping spheres of unseen mass. Each halo acts as a gravitational anchor, providing a deep well into which the visible matter of the galaxy has fallen and settled over billions of years. If we could see these spheres, the night sky would be filled with massive, intersecting orbs of grey shadow, making the glowing stars appear like tiny, brilliant jewels resting inside immense glass spheres. The sheer volume of these halos is staggering, dwarfing the luminous portions of the galaxies by a factor of 10 or more. They are the true containers of our local universe, the silent shells that hold the spinning treasures of starlight in place. If we were to look closer at the mechanics of the great spirals, we would find a rhythmic precision that simply cannot be explained by the light we see. We cannot see dark matter directly, but its gentle gravitational pull dictates the majestic rotation speeds of every spiral galaxy in our local family. In a universe governed only by visible matter, the stars at the outer edges of the Milky Way should lag far behind those at the centre, yet they race along at nearly the same velocity. This heavy, unseen weight acts as a hidden hand guiding a spinning top, providing the extra momentum needed to maintain a perfectly uniform and stable rotation across the entire disk. As you lie here, feel the weight of your own body being pulled steadily toward the centre of the Earth, a familiar and grounding force that mirrors this galactic grip. This same gravity, amplified by the dark matter halos, ensures that the spiral arms do not fray or dissolve as they whip through the freezing vacuum. It is a subtle but absolute control, a hidden governor that maintains the structural timing of the entire galaxy with surgical accuracy. The dark matter acts as a pervasive, invisible fluid that carries the stars along in its wake, ensuring that the grand pinwheel remains a cohesive and enduring masterpiece. We are passengers on a disk whose speed is determined by a phantom pilot, moving in perfect synchronization with a mass we will never touch. This invisible influence becomes even more dominant when we move away from the massive spirals and peer into the smaller, more fragile realms of our neighbourhood. The dwarf galaxies in our group are completely dominated by dark matter, often containing hundreds of times more dark mass than visible stars within their diffuse borders. In these tiny systems, the luminous matter is merely a thin, glittering dusting on top of a massive and heavy dark matter mountain. They are the most dark matter-rich objects in the known universe, existing as pure gravitational experiments where the light has almost entirely failed to take root. This staggering imbalance means that the internal motions of these dwarf systems are governed entirely by the unseen scaffolding, leaving the stars as mere traces of a much larger and darker reality. While the Milky Way might be mostly stars by volume, these tiny satellites are essentially balls of dark matter that happen to have a few glowing inhabitants. This provides them with a level of gravitational stability that their sparse appearance would otherwise deny them, allowing them to survive the tidal pulls of their larger neighbours. They are the ultimate proof of the dark matter's dominance, showing us that the most significant structures in the cosmos are those that choose to remain in the shadows. To study a dwarf galaxy is to study the dark matter itself, stripped of the distracting brilliance and complexity of the massive spirals. The true beauty of this hidden framework lies in the calming stability it provides to the otherwise chaotic and energetic life of the galaxies. This invisible web prevents galaxies from spinning themselves apart into the void, providing a heavy gravitational glue that counteracts the centrifugal force of their incredible rotation. Without this weight, the billions of stars in the outer arms would be flung wildly into the intergalactic medium like sparks from a grinding wheel. The dark matter acts as a massive invisible wall that keeps the stars contained within their designated orbits, maintaining the integrity of the spiral shape for eons. Surprisingly, the very existence of the spiral arms we find so hypnotic is a direct result of this stabilizing influence, which allows the density waves to travel smoothly through the stellar traffic. It creates a serene and predictable environment where solar systems can mature over billions of years without the fear of being ejected into the lightless abyss. This hidden embrace is the reason we can look up and see the same familiar constellations night after night, as our entire galaxy is held together by a force that refuses to let go. As you continue to breathe in the quiet dark, consider the incredible piece of a system that is perfectly balanced by an unseen hand. The dark matter is the ultimate guardian of the light, a silent partner that ensures the sanctuary of the Milky Way remains intact against the forces of dissolution. If we were to imaginatively remove this unseen skeleton for even a single moment, the consequences for our celestial home would be immediate and catastrophic. Without dark matter, the delicate dance of the local group would instantly dissolve into chaotic, isolated trajectories as the gravitational bonds holding the neighbourhood together would vanish. The Milky Way and Andromeda would no longer feel the pull of their shared centre of mass, and the dozens of satellite galaxies would drift off into the expanding void. The entire choreographed waltz of 80-some galaxies would be replaced by a scattered, directionless exodus into the absolute blackness of the intergalactic ocean. Let the muscles in your legs and feet grow heavy and still, as if they are part of the very ground itself, just as the galaxies are rooted in their dark halos. In this hypothetical dissolution, the internal structures of the galaxies would also unravel, as the stars in the outer disks would no longer have enough mass to keep them in orbit. The majestic pinwheels would fray and dissipate, turning from beautiful, ordered structures into thin, disorganized clouds of wandering suns. The local group would cease to be a family and become a collection of orphans, lost to the relentless stretching of space. This realization highlights the profound importance of the dark matter, which serves as the invisible glue that makes the concept of a neighbourhood possible in the first place. We exist in a state of togetherness only because of a shadow that refuses to let us go. Perhaps the most intimate and haunting aspect of this mysterious substance is its pervasive presence within our own immediate environment. It flows through our solar system constantly, passing through our planet, our homes, and our very bodies, without leaving the slightest trace or causing a single interaction. Because dark matter does not interact with electromagnetism, it passes through solid matter as if it were nothing more than a ghostly mist, ignoring the atoms and molecules that make up our world. At any given second, millions of dark matter particles are streaming through you, moving at hundreds of kilometers per second as they continue their eternal journey through the galactic halo. This invisible rain is a constant companion to our lives, a silent tide that links us directly to the massive scaffolding of the entire local group. It means that we are never truly in a vacuum or alone, but are always immersed in a heavy ethereal fluid that shapes the destiny of the stars. This flow is entirely frictionless and silent, never disturbing the delicate chemistry of our cells or the quiet thoughts in our minds. It is a reminder that the most significant forces in the universe are often those that are the most subtle and non-intrusive. We are part of a grand, dark matter sea, swimming through a medium that we can neither feel nor measure with our ordinary senses. This ghostly interaction is the ultimate expression of the dark matter's gentle nature, a force that provides the weight of the world without ever demanding to be noticed. When we look out at the brilliant displays of the night sky, we're actually seeing only the smallest and most superficial layer of the true reality. The local group's total mass is overwhelmingly composed of this dark material, rendering the glowing stars, the vibrant nebulae, and the massive planets as a mere afterthought in the cosmic ledger. For every kilogram of visible starlight, there are roughly 5 or 6 kilograms of invisible dark matter holding the scales in balance. We live in a universe that is primarily dark, where the light is a rare and precious exception rather than the rule. If we were to weigh the entire neighbourhood on a celestial scale, the glowing portions would be a tiny, insignificant fraction that barely moves the needle against the heavy, dark bulk of the halos. This realization shifts the perspective of our journey, suggesting that the galaxies are not the primary actors, but rather the foam on the surface of a deep, dark ocean. The massive spirals are essentially decorative highlights on a much larger and more substantial dark matter sculpture. This heavy truth provides a sense of profound humility as we realize that all the beauty we can perceive is just a thin veneer over a much deeper and more mysterious foundation. The stars are the jewelry of the cosmos, but the dark matter is the body that wears it, providing the weight and the form that allows the light to exist at all. We are the glowing minority in a universe that belongs to the shadows. The absolute tranquility of this substance is found in its total and perfect disconnection from the world of light and energy that we inhabit. The profound quiet of dark matter lies in its inability to emit, absorb, or reflect any form of light whatsoever, remaining entirely transparent across the entire electromagnetic spectrum. It does not glow like a star, it does not obscure like a dust cloud, and it does not reflect like a planet. It simply is, existing in a state of absolute and perfect visual silence. This means that a dark matter halo could be positioned directly between us and a distant galaxy, and we would never know it was there through our eyes alone. As you feel the steady, calming rhythm of your breath in the absolute stillness of your room, consider the incredible peace of a substance that truly cannot be disturbed by the frantic energy of light. It exists in a parallel realm of pure gravity, unbothered by the heat of supernovas or the blinding radiation of quasars. This total transparency is what makes it so difficult to detect, but it is also what gives it its serene and unchanging character. It is the ultimate expression of the quiet corners we have searched for, a medium that provides the structure of the universe without ever participating in its noise. The dark matter is a sanctuary of absolute shadowless presence, a place where the eons can pass in total and perfect invisibility. It is the dark, silent background against which the entire drama of the local group is played out, a canvas that remains forever pristine and untouched by the paint of starlight. Despite all our efforts to map its influence and weigh its presence, this hidden framework remains one of the most serene and profound mysteries in all of modern astrophysics. We know it is there by the way it pulls at the stars and bends the path of light, yet we still do not know what it is actually made of. It stands as a silent challenge to our understanding of the universe, a gargantuan secret that sits at the very heart of our local neighbourhood. This mystery is not one of confusion or chaos, but a calm and dignified puzzle that invites us to look deeper into the nature of reality. Looking deeper into the reality of our temporal existence, we find that the stable present is merely a calm preamble to a much grander, inevitable encounter. In about 4 billion years, the Milky Way and the sovereign Andromeda will begin a magnificent slow-motion gravitational dance that will redefine the very architecture of our local universe. This approach is not a sudden collision, but a patient, majestic convergence orchestrated by the unseen scaffolding of dark matter that has pulled these titans together since the dawn of time. This upcoming choreography represents the final unifying act for the two primary anchors of our galactic family. As they draw nearer, the mutual gravitational attraction will overcome the expansion of the wider cosmos, locking the two spirals into an inescapable and beautiful embrace. It is a transition from two separate islands of light into a single, integrated masterpiece of celestial motion. We are currently drifting through the quiet centuries before this great waltz, witnesses to the silent approach of a neighbour that will eventually become our partner. The eons of isolation are slowly closing, leading toward a future where the boundaries between us and them will dissolve entirely. This gravitational fall is the ultimate destiny of our neighbourhood, a serene and inevitable journey toward a shared and luminous conclusion. Surprisingly, the night sky of Earth will eventually be dominated by the approaching glow of Andromeda, swelling to breathtaking proportions as the distance between our worlds vanishes. What currently appears as a delicate, ghostly smudge will transform into a massive, detailed disk of silver light that spans across the entire celestial horizon. Future observers on our world, or whatever remains of it, will look up to see the spiral arms of our neighbour draped across the velvet blackness like a luminous tapestry. This visual transformation will be the most profound change in the history of our planetary perspective. The light of 1 trillion distant suns will wash over the terrestrial landscape, casting a soft, pearlescent radiance that eliminates the true darkness of the midnight hour. Andromeda will no longer be a distant mystery, but an intimate, sky-filling presence that reminds us of our place within a much larger and more dynamic family. If we were to look closer at this future sky, we would see the individual star clusters and glowing nebulae of the neighbouring galaxy with startling clarity. The majestic span of its silver wings will serve as a constant nightly reminder of the grand scale of the cosmic forces pulling us home. It is a slow-motion arrival, a dawning of starlight that will take millions of years to fully manifest in the heavens above. When the two galaxies finally meet in their initial pass, the distance between individual stars is so incredibly vast that virtually no stellar collisions will occur during the entire encounter. Despite the appearance of two massive whirlpools of light crashing together, the reality is a passage of two swarms of ghosts through one another. Each star is a tiny, solitary point of fire separated by light years of empty, freezing vacuum, allowing the two populations to intermingle without physical contact. Allow your physical form to settle into a state of total, unbothered stillness, mirroring the peaceful passage of these billions of suns. The vacuum is so expansive that the chance of two stars actually striking one another is mathematically infinitesimal. Instead of a violent impact, the encounter is a redistribution of orbits, a gentle mixing of two different celestial populations into a single, new community. This lack of collision ensures that the individual solar systems will remain largely intact, even as the larger structures around them are warped and reshaped. We are part of a universe that is mostly empty space, a design that allows for the grandest mergers to happen with a sense of profound and quiet safety. The stars will simply glide past their new neighbours, moving through the deep dark in a perfectly silent and harm-free integration. This initial meeting is merely the beginning, as the two spirals will pass right through one another before being drawn back together by gravity for a second, final embrace. The momentum of their approach will carry them through the centre of mass, stretching the spiral arms into long, elegant ribbons of displaced starlight. Eventually, the invisible grip of the dark matter halos will act as a cosmic bungee cord, slowing their retreat and pulling them back toward the centre for a definitive union. This back and forth motion is a grand, slow-motion vibration of light and matter that will play out over hundreds of millions of years. Each pass will strip away the familiar spiral structure, mixing the gas and dust of the two galaxies into a new, complex arrangement. It is a process of refinement through motion, where the original identities of the two titans are slowly blended into a unified whole. The gravitational tides will create immense bridges of stars that link the two systems during their brief separations, marking the path of their shared journey. This second embrace is the final commitment, the moment when the two giants truly become one. It is a testament to the patient power of gravity, which refuses to let go until the two whirlpools of light have found their common and permanent centre. This beautiful merger will eventually create a single, massive elliptical galaxy, often nicknamed Andromeda, which will serve as the new heart of our local neighbourhood. The elegant spiral arms and central bars of the ancestors will fade away, replaced by a smooth, glowing orb of hundreds of billions of ancient suns. This new structure will lack the chaotic dust lanes and vibrant star-forming regions of the past, settling into a state of dignified and uniform radiance. The transition from spiral to elliptical represents a move toward a more stable and mature form of galactic existence. Andromeda will be a massive sanctuary of light, a giant ball of starlight that provides a steady and unchanging presence in the deep intergalactic ocean. It is the final form of our local evolution, a masterpiece of gravitational balance that has successfully integrated all of its diverse parts into a single, cohesive entity. As you breathe in the absolute peace of your own space, consider the long-term stability of this new, unified home. This supergalaxy will endure for trillions of years, a massive and glowing monument to the union of two great families. Its light will be soft, warm, and constant, illuminating the local dark with a sense of finality and profound cosmic rest. During the transition into this new form, star formation will experience a brief, brilliant surge before settling down into a long, quiet retirement. As the gas clouds from the two galaxies are compressed by the force of the merger, they will ignite into thousands of new stellar nurseries, speckling the sky with vibrant pink and blue embers. This final burst of creativity will be the most spectacular light show in the history of our neighbourhood. A glorious farewell to the era of starbirth. Notice the gentle rhythmic rise and fall of your chest, and let it synchronize with the slow-motion pulse of this final, creative surge. Once the available gas has been consumed by this starburst, the new galaxy will enter a phase of peaceful senescence. There will be no more new stars, only the steady and predictable aging of the trillion suns that already exist within the merged structure. This long retirement is a state of absolute tranquility, where the frantic energy of youth is replaced by the calm endurance of age. The galaxy will become a realm of ancient red giants and cooling dwarfs, shining with a light that changes only over billions of years. It is a peaceful end to the story of creation, a time when the universe settles into its final and most stable configuration. The Triangulum galaxy will likely orbit the new supergalaxy, serving as a silent witness to the profound transformation of its larger siblings. While the two titans merge into a single entity, the delicate pinwheel will maintain its distance, caught in a wide and graceful orbit around the massive new Milkomeda. It will remain a distinct and beautiful presence on the outskirts, a fragile reminder of the spiral architecture that once defined the entire neighbourhood. This relationship ensures that the third largest sibling remains part of the family, even as the hierarchy of power is completely restructured. Triangulum will watch the slow fading of the starburst and the eventual settling of the elliptical core, its own light continuing to shine with a steady, independent fire. It is a lonely spectator to a grand historical shift, a satellite of a new empire that spans the local void. Eventually, even this loyal attendant may be drawn into the central mass, but for billions of years, it will exist as a separate and serene companion. Its presence adds a final layer of complexity to the new arrangement, providing a visual counterpoint to the massive uniform glow of the central supergalaxy. It is the last spiral in a neighbourhood that has chosen the path of elliptical peace. Beyond the borders of our local group, the expansion of the universe is carrying all other galaxy clusters away from us at a terrifying and accelerating pace. The dark energy of the deep void is stretching the space between superclusters, pushing the rest of the cosmos over a cosmic horizon from which no light can ever return. This process will eventually leave our local family in a state of absolute and total isolation, cut off from the rest of the visible universe forever. If we were to look closer at the distant sky in this far future era, we would find that the once crowded heavens have become a complete and absolute void. The distant smudges of light that once represented other islands of starlight will have faded into invisibility, leaving our merged local group as a solitary sanctuary in an infinite ocean of blackness. We're part of an island that is becoming increasingly isolated, a refuge of matter in a universe that is rapidly emptying. This cosmic isolation creates a sense of profound and ultimate privacy for our local neighbourhood. We will be the masters of all we can see, as there will be nothing left to see but our own glowing suns. The expansion of the space ensures that our final story will be played out in total solitude, far from the influence or observation of any other cosmic structures. Trillions of years from now, our merged local group will be the only visible structure left in the entire observable universe, a solitary island of light in a sea of eternal darkness. The very concepts of other galaxies and distant superclusters will have been lost to the deep history of the past, as the expansion has pushed everything else beyond the reach of our sight. Andromeda will stand alone as the only light in the dark, a final defiant spark against the infinite void. The cosmic microwave background, the lingering echo of the Big Bang, will have cooled and stretched until it is entirely undetectable, leaving no record of the origins of the universe. To any observer in this era, the universe would appear to consist only of one massive galaxy, surrounded by an endless and unchanging blackness. It is a state of absolute and final simplicity, where the complexity of the early cosmos has been distilled into a single glowing point. In this deep future, the silence of the intergalactic medium will be total, as there will be no more light from the outside to illuminate the sparse mist of atoms. The local group will be a closed system, a self-contained universe that has successfully survived the thinning of the rest of existence. This ultimate isolation is the final destination of our journey, a place of perfect and undisturbed quietude. This final, combined island universe will slowly fade into darkness over unimaginable eons, marking a peaceful end to a glorious cosmic story. One by one, the red dwarfs will exhaust their fuel and go dark, and the massive elliptical will begin its long, slow descent into the shadows. The light will not go out with a bang, but with a soft and dignified sigh, as the last embers of starlight are finally extinguished by the passage of time. This gradual fade is the ultimate expression of cosmic tranquility, a transition from a world of light to a world of absolute and perfect rest. The story that began with the brilliant flash of creation and evolved through the majestic spirals of the local group will find its completion in the quiet dark. It is a graceful and inevitable conclusion, a return to the state of peace that existed before the first star ever flickered to life. As the final photons are emitted, the universe will achieve a state of perfect and eternal equilibrium, where no more change is possible. This is the ultimate sanctuary, a place where the eons have finally run their course and the journey of starlight has reached its end. In the soft and final dark, the local group finds its truest and most enduring form of peace, a glorious story told to an audience of infinite silence. Deep within the heart of every discovery we have shared, a single, unifying truth emerges to bridge the gap between the infinite and the intimate. Everything we see, touch, and study in the vastness of the local group is merely a temporary, localized ripple of light destined to return to the quiet, unifying dark from which it was born. This grand synthesis reveals that the radiant dance of the galaxies is a fleeting and beautiful expression of the universe's underlying eternal stillness. Surprisingly, the body knows exactly how to settle into this profound quietude, drawing its own curtains against the outer world. Let your awareness drift down to the very tips of your toes, noticing the subtle weight as they rest completely motionless. The feet grow heavy now, as if they are sinking into the very foundation of the earth, releasing every last trace of tension. This heavy sensation travels slowly up the calves and through the knees, turning the legs into columns of absolute rest. The hips and the lower back broaden and soften, finding a perfect supported alignment with the surface beneath you. Every muscle in the torso begins to unwind, following the slow, predictable rhythm of a breath that has become effortless and deep. If we were to look closer at the hands, we would find the fingers curled in a state of natural, quiet repose. The palms are soft, the wrists are loose, and the weight of the arms is fully surrendered to the blankets. This stillness flows upward to the shoulders, which melt away from the ears and sink deeply into the mattress. The neck and the jaw loosen their final hold, allowing the tongue to rest gently and the teeth to part. A wave of relaxation washes over the face, smoothing the brow and letting the eyes settle back into their sockets. The scalp grows heavy, and the mind begins to dim its focus, turning inward toward a landscape of pure, unblemished shadow. The weight of the duvet is a comforting presence, a thick and protective layer that holds the warmth of the body close. Every time the breath leaves the body, the mind sinks a little further into a state of total, undisturbed surrender. The walls of the room seem to recede, leaving only the immediate sensation of the pillow and the heavy, velvet dark. Thoughts become like soft, fading echoes that drift away before they can be fully formed. The rhythm of the heart is a slow, grounding pulse that anchors the consciousness to the profound peace of the bed. It is a state of absolute, wordless safety, where the boundary between the dreamer and the dream begins to soften and blur. The silence is a physical weight, a thick and nourishing blanket that covers everything in a layer of perfect dark rest. Muscles have forgotten the concept of movement, choosing instead the absolute luxury of complete and total stillness. The descent is steady, a slow and rhythmic falling into the deep, welcoming embrace of the night. And now, 101 wonders are resting with you. Sleep now. Good night.